Good evening, everyone. It's Friday night, and wow, it's our end of season show, and hopefully we've got a cracking one for you. Wow. Yeah, I've been nervous all day about this because I always get pumped for the show, and there's a lot to try and piece together for this one tonight. And of course, we have some Argyle royalty. Chris Errington is back again for his second appearance on the show. Evening to you, Chris. And Aaron Cusack, who's taking phone calls for us tonight in the call centre. He's joining us, obviously, of Argyle Analysis. And he's also the man that brings grip to your socks in your football boots and shin pads now, actually. Yeah, fantastic. So a real welcome to you, Aaron. So good evening to you.
Thank you, Michael. How is everyone? All right?
All good.
Everybody's hopefully good. So, right, there's a few other faces that some of you, one that you're certainly, or a couple that you'll recognise, not just Aaron and Chris, of course, but we also have Ian that's joined us for the first time. Ian runs is vice chairman of the Cornish Supporters Association. Ian?
Yeah, we have vice chair of the Cornish Supporters and also Devonport and Fan Assembly rep at the club.
Yeah, so you have to sort all those out in the Devonport end, then. Yeah, that's your job, is it?
Don't envy you there.
Ian's a fan of the show, a long-time fan of the show, and also is in our WhatsApp group for our All Things Argyle. So I said, why don't you come on and have your first show on our end-of-season show? Nick Tomlinson of PAFC Displays, as you know, all the great effort and work that Nick does throughout the season. But he's trying to find the biggest washing machine possible, folks, to get that flag cleaned.
That drop, mate, are you?
So, yeah, evening to you, Nick. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good, yeah. Thank you.
The quiet settling down now, the panic over from the other day when you had a few supplier issues. I'm sure Aaron doesn't suffer that problem, but yeah, you managed to sort it out in the end, didn't you?
Yeah, all sorted now. We got a bit of stock on us as well. I've ordered a few that I've got on me, so if we get some orders come in, I can send them out directly from me now as well. So yeah, not too bad. Panic over.
Cool. Yeah, not one to not plug merchandise, but of course, we also have our own. I'll be doing some new stuff for that in the new year, so that will be look forward to doing in the new year in the off season. So look forward to doing that. Finley, of course, who you will recognise. We do have to always get permission from his dad that he can come on the show. The young aspiring sports journalist that Finley is. And for Chris and Aaron's sake, that is not antlers out the back of his head. That is the Silverstone race circuit. So how you doing, Finley?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, all good. See, Finley's a man of few words, as I discover on the show. But no, he's good. He's got his account back on X as well from those pesky hackers. So he's happy. And Gavin. So out of the regulars, with Carl is working tonight, we couldn't rearrange it around that, sadly. But yeah, Carl is working tonight and Andy is unavailable. He's out and about tonight as well. He might join us later. I have got a message from him at the end. But yeah, so actually from the core Block 9, you just got Gavin and I. So sorry about that. You'll have to just make do.
Probably a blessing.
Yeah. How's your week been, Gavin? How's things with you?
Yeah, same as ever. Busy. Children.
Yeah.
Wife. Yeah, all good. All good. Looking forward to this. It'll be good fun. Especially, as you say, with Argyle royalty in our presence, which is nice.
Yeah, Nick's a massive fan favourite of everybody's. Especially
on those flags. Yeah, exactly.
That's it. So, I'm going to come to the. Well, let me just say thank you everybody as well that's joining us on the show tonight. So it's a great. It's been an incredible. It's our second full season, as mad as that is. With 2 shows a week, because I just like to ensure that I'm busy and I've got nothing else to do with a family and 2 kids as well. So every Thursday for our preview shows, and then as we call them, the live lounge, really more relaxed affair, and then Saturdays for our post-match shows. It's been like that back to back. And then I had this bright idea the sort of start of last year to go, I fancy doing these watch-alongs that I see the likes of Mark Goldbridge and others do. And so I added that to the repertoire. So that meant my Saturdays when Argyle were away were filled with 3 hours of watch-along commentary and then a 2-hour show in the evening or whatever it ends up being. So pretty manic, but I've enjoyed every minute of it. So there's a few in the chat group tonight, so I'm just going to read out a few before it gets chaotic in there. Debbie Firth was in early on. She says, evening all. Yes, I'm early, but I don't want to miss a thing. Yep, she did come in at just after 7:30. Some of them, Aaron and Chris, really are keen on this show. We've also got Michael Hawkes, who's a Reading fan that has joined us for the most part of the season. Evening, everyone. He says, looking forward to this one very much. He says, Debbie, that's a song by Aerosmith. I don't want to miss a thing. Wow, there we go. It's all happening tonight. What else we got? Kev Samo, my best mate's in, watching with his son Killian. He says, evening all. Mike, have you stocked up on the Red Bulls? A lot of stuff to cover. I have already had one, so I should be good. So I'm seeing him and his family tomorrow as well with mine, so that'll be good. Brian Pinaretta, all the way from Boston, Massachusetts, and joined us for the live watch along for the Northampton game. He's in tonight saying, evening all, Plymouth 1620 Fleet in the house. Come on, you Greens. We've also got David Tom says, evening, guys, only 4 minutes to wait, but after that, it's then 2 months. Ninja Matson as well says, evening. Baz and the Cloud, evening. Looking forward to the pod. Luke Hodge says, evening all. Matt Montgomery says, can't wait for this show, Mike, Carl, Gavin and Andy, with the legends of Chris Errington and Aaron Cusack. Dave Ferris says, evening all. Andy Prowse, evening rock stars, paper boy band tonight, proper boy band tonight, sorry. Great season for the Block 9. Well done, lads. What else we got? Ben Collins is in, says evening as well. Morris Football Talks is Mozza. He's the Luton fan that we've had on this season. He says, just popping in to see you guys next season. Yes, as your hearts were broken after Stevenage did score that late one and you thought you had made it just after. Stevie Vaughan as well, evening to the Argyle family. Stephen Cooper. Chris, remember me? I used to be chairman of Sunday League. Keep up the good work, Chris. And Truth Plim says, evening all. Do we have Aaron to thank for Bim's improvement in form? Good work, sir.
100%. 100%.
Definitely.
It's a partnership, isn't it, Aaron? Yeah, you got to work. Both the player has to deliver himself as well, and we will come to that later on and get Aaron's thoughts with Bim. Simon says, hi everybody, new season already, right. So, thank you for the comments. Keep them coming. Share and retweet the show where you can on your relevant platform. Just before I do my usual intro, I went to watch Michael Jackson's that new movie, Michael, with my son last night. And then we ended up walking out with these two things. So my son's a big aviation fan, and these are Top Gun limited edition 40th anniversary popcorn helmets. 25 quid a pop. He mugged me off, my son, for these. And so I've got my popcorn for tonight. But yeah, anyway, enough of that. Let's get on. Yes, thanks, Ben. Let's get on to the football talks. Chris, I'm going to come to you first because I'm conscious of your time tonight, as it looks like you're beavering away, multitasking like the professional journalist. Last time you were on, Chris, it was a bit of a disaster, wasn't it? Not with you.
Not
me.
With
you. Argyle season, yeah.
I'm surprised you've invited me back, Mike, then.
We'll see how it goes after this.
Yeah, okay, yeah. If I get another invite, I know I'm doing something right.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so you all well? Everything good with you?
All good, yes. Sort of just decompressing a bit after a long old season. I think it was 55 games for Argyle League and Cup. Managed to get to 52 of them. Missed a couple in October, Mansfield away and Wickham away in the FA Cup, which in hindsight was probably good games to miss because that was right down at the lowest of lows for Argyle during the season. But yeah, I've said to quite a few people, Mike, I've seen promotion seasons in my time reporting on Argyle, and I've seen relegation seasons. I've never seen a promotion and a relegation season in the same season, and I think that's what we saw this year, wasn't it? Where they went from the depths of League One in November to the 90th minute at Northampton last Saturday. We were above that line for the top six, weren't we?
Yeah, well, hold that thought, because I'm sorry, folks, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am going to do an intro and then I'm going to come to that to break down with Chris. So just get comfortable, brace yourselves for this monologue. But, I spend all these hours pulling this together. But anyway, let's properly get this show underway. So, what a season it has been. Honestly, if you told us back on November the 8th, when Plymouth Argyle were sat bottom of League One, that we would end up the campaign finishing 8th, just outside the playoffs, I think most of the Green Army would have asked what you'd been drinking. Because this wasn't a normal season. This was a season that started with the hangover of relegation, the return to League One, a new manager, a reshaped squad, new faces, new ideas, and plenty of uncertainty. And yet there was expectation too. Argyle came into the season with a top 6 budget, and after dropping out of the Championship, there was a feeling that this club should be competitive, not necessarily walking the league, but certainly pushing at the right end. But football rarely reads the brochure. The start was poor, really poor. The results weren't coming. Performances were patchy. Confidence looked fragile. Injuries began to bite again, one after another. And suddenly it felt like the same old Argyle problems had followed us into the new division. By early November, Argyle were bottom of the league and the mood around the club had turned. Let's be honest, there were elements of the Green Army calling for Tom Cleverley to go. But of course, not Gavin Jones. And Gavin, say nothing right now. The pressure was huge. The patience had almost gone. And at that point, it felt like the season was slipping away before it even properly started. But then came the first of 2 key turning points. Derek Adams returned to Plymouth Argyle as director of football, as the board stood firm and looked to support rather than sack. And looking back now, you have to ask the question, was that the best decision the club made all season? Because whatever you think of Derek, he knows this club, he knows this level, and he brought experience at a time when Argyle needed it. It felt like support for Cleverley, not a replacement, not a shadow over him, but someone to help guide him and manage the football operation, to bring some know-how and to steady things behind the scenes. The second was Joe Rules, arriving at the start of November, and slowly but surely he added something Argyle were badly missing: stability, experience, and a bit of calm in midfield. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't a headline-grabbing signing, but he gave Argyle structure. He helped steady the ship, and before his injury setback in the new year, he had made a massive impact. And from that point, Argyle did start to look different. The tactical switch to 4-4-2 felt like a proper reset. The win away at Leyton Orient in the EFL Trophy gave us the first real glimpse of something more settled, something simpler, and something that suited the players better. It wasn't perfect overnight, of course. The festive period was still bumpy, especially at home park, where results and performances continued to frustrate. But Argyle entered the new year with something they didn't have earlier in the season: belief. And then perhaps most surprisingly of all, the season really started to come alive away from home. For a club that has so often relied on home park as being the fortress, it was the away form that dragged Argyle back into the conversation. Win after win on the road, big performances, gritty results. Suddenly Argyle were just surviving the season. They were climbing the season. The January transfer window really helped as well. Ronan Curtis came in from Port Vale and made an immediate impact. Direct, dangerous, and exactly the sort of player Argyle needed at that point in the season. Then in February, Herbie Kane arrived and gave Argyle another important midfield option. This proved instrumental when Rules later was ruled out for the season. These were smart, practical signings, not panic buys, not names for the sake of names. Players who made sense for Argyle where they needed it. And as the season progressed, the home form did begin to improve, but the away form continued to shine. Even players like Bim Peppel came through and really shone and showed what they can actually do. Just missing out on that golden boot with Talai, but what a turnaround in form. Argyle's confidence overall grew. The goals started to come. The defence looked stronger. And one of the clearest signs of the turnaround was that goal difference. -13 when Argyle sat bottom, but by the end, they turned that around into a positive, healthy goal difference. That tells you everything about the shift in this team. This wasn't just a lucky run. This was a proper recovery. Then came April, and suddenly, almost out of nowhere, the playoffs were in sight. Argyle had dragged themselves from the bottom of the table into the race, but then came that massive triple header. First, a home defeat to Stephen Schumacher's Bolton, a painful one for obvious reasons. Then a huge away win at Barnsley, which pulled belief right back into the room. And then Exeter came to Home Park and held us to a draw. Oh, they got the points, didn't they, this season? That little run, though, probably summed up our season. Hope, frustration, momentum, and missed opportunity all tangled together in green and white. But then came another big win away to Wimbledon, and suddenly it was really back on again. The playoff dream had gone from impossible to unlikely to maybe, just maybe. But then Tuesday night draw against the playoff rivals Bradford really hurt. With the games in hand elsewhere, it meant Argyle had done so much work, but the final outcome was no longer fully in their hands. And then came the final day. I remember it well as the watch along, and those of you that joined us in the show tonight that were there with Carl, it was just one of those. The team decided to pit us through the emotional tumble dryer one last time. 2-0 down, playoff slipping away, but then the fight back. Argyle clawed it back, turned it around and led 3-2. For a moment, they were 6 and final place for the playoffs. We all believed, and after the season had thrown at us, it felt like the impossible might actually happen. Argyle went on to win the game. They did their job, but late drama elsewhere at Stevenage ended that playoff dream and hopes. And just like that, it was over. Not with failure, not really. With frustration, yes. With what if, absolutely, but also with pride. Because this was a season that could have completely collapsed. Bottom in November, a new manager under pressure, a reshaped squad, another injury crisis, a fan base losing belief, a club trying to find its footing again. Turn around. But the question for some is, should it have been better? The board stood by Tom when many wanted change. Derek Adams came in and added the experience. The system changed. The sign improved. The team, the players found form. Slowly, Argyle built something. So the question now is, was this a season really about promotion? In reality, no. Or was it about rebuilding the foundations? Yes, it probably was. A top 6 budget, there was always expectations. But with a new squad, a new manager, and a club relegation, maybe automatic success was never quite as realistic as some of us wanted it to be. Maybe this season was all about stopping the slide, finding a new identity, building resilience, and giving Tom and this squad something to take into next season. Because from bottom in November to 8th in May, Argyle didn't just save their season, they gave themselves something to build on. And now the challenge is simple, and that is to not waste it. Thank you for your time and patience on that.
I'm glad you didn't try and do that in one breath.
Yeah, well, there you
Very
go.
good, Mike.
So, hopefully, Chris, you would have been proud of that script there. But I wanted just to do that sort of digest to paint the picture. So thank you all for bearing with. My intros are not always that long. But yeah, Chris, like you said, sort of coming down and all the hopes and glory and all the last few years since we went up, and you think, what's going on? It's turmoil. But yeah, the turnaround is just insane, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think with hindsight, 12 months on from the relegation, I think we can all appreciate that the club was in very much flux at the time. And everyone here will know that when you have a change of manager and 16 players leave, is it realistic to expect a football team to start the following season firing on all cylinders? So I don't think that was ever likely. I think the issue was that it did take a very long time before it clicked. And you picked out a couple of key moments that I'm not going to disagree with at all, Mike, in terms of Derek Adams coming into the club, but also Joe Rawls as well, who didn't play that many games for Argyle this season, but I think he was a really key addition on the pitch and by the sounds of it as well, in the dressing room as well. And even in the last weeks of the season, he was still there. He wasn't going to play, but he was still there. And a very eventful season. Took longer to but yeah, I mean, if they got into the playoffs, I don't think anyone in the players would have wanted to play Plymouth Argyle the way they played the last 3 or 4 months of the season. It's just a shame they couldn't quite get over that line into the top 6.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you're in. It was the end of your 29th season, Chris, as you posted reporting on Argyle, and if we go, go back to sort of the start a little bit. Yes, it was. There was a lot of change. I think I haven't rewatched any of our first few shows because I mean, I wouldn't want to listen to us for an hour and a half again. I'd need to take a week off work. But I think I was sort of positive and hopeful, I suppose, because you always are thinking, come on, we can get back and do this. But yeah, the number of changes in players, Chris, was quite significant, wasn't it? And I think that was the big difference. I mean, I've got this slide here, and excuse me for who gets cut off on screen, but the permanent signings that we had coming into this season: Jim Patterson, Caleb Watts, Jack McKenzie, Bradley Ibrahim, Xavier Amici, Owen Aseni, Brendan Wiredu, Bin Peppel, Eamon Benarous, Ashby Hammond, Matthias Ross, Laurent Talai, Joe Rules, Ronan Curtis. I mean, Chris, that's a lot of a change in a squad, isn't it?
And if you said to most Argyle fans in September or October about those permanent signings, most people, I think, would have said, yeah, they're not good enough. And now here we are sat early in May, and you look at that list that you just put up there, Mike, and most people would say that most of those signings were good signings in the end. Yes, there's 1 or 2 that didn't deliver as much as we would like, but if you can get 2 strikers in like Bin Peppel and Laurent Talai and they end up getting 39 goals in a season, you've done pretty well there. Ronan Curtis must have been 10 plus goal contributions. Joe Rules we touched on. Matthias Ross formed an excellent partnership with Alex Mitchell, who's not on that list because he was a loan signing. So again, it's one of those, I think we all sometimes rush to judgment about things. And sometimes it's best and fairer to just give people time to settle in, to adjust, to get used to things. And maybe that's a lesson we can all learn from this season, is that we don't all have to have a cut and dried opinion on everything in September. It doesn't have to be that way.
Aaron, from a coach perspective, how hard is it to embed a team like that? When you've got like, hello, nice to meet you, and then you're playing football like the following week. How does that work from a coaching perspective? What do you do?
It's really difficult because not only are you signing individuals, you're signing individuals to fit into a system. And in order for players to play well, they have to form partnerships that become reliable and consistent, whether that's vertically up and down the pitch or whether that's horizontally across the pitch. So trying to kind of figure out who best works with who has a better relationship with different player profiles takes time. And I agree with Chris, it was going to be very difficult with such a high turnover of players so soon across the off season for it to kind of hit the ground running straight away. And like anything, you learn as you go. Like Cleverley would have learned as he went throughout the season, realizing that players didn't fit certain systems, hence why they changed it and they had to change it. And then you build and you learn. And I think this season now, for me, will give him a better nucleus moving into next season, knowing the type of players he will now need to fit the system he needs to play to be, successful.
I mean, from my point of view as well, I do feel we need to keep in consideration that half of the signings that were brought in to begin with were for a different manager who plays a completely different style of football as well. And that, I mean, from a coach's perspective, I'd like to see Aaron's perspective on that as well, because there are 2 completely different contrasting styles of play that Miron Mustic would play and what Tom Cleverley would play. Do you feel that may have had a massive impact on the slow start that we had as well?
Yeah, of course. I mean, interestingly, I believe Miron was pretty instrumental in signing Boateng, and then pretty quickly realised he didn't want to play him in his plans. So that was quite interesting to hear. However, Nick, I agree with you. Like, if you play a certain style, you need certain profiles to fit your style. The fact that we went a bit more direct the latter part of the season probably was more conducive to how Miron Muslic would have played anyway. And that's why it fitted. And yeah, you sometimes when you're given, you know, Cleverly inherited those players effectively, and then it was up to him to try and profile them the best suit his philosophy, and obviously it didn't quite work in the early outputs. But I'd give Cleverly a huge amount of credit, because there's lots of ego in football, and it's very easy to just stick to your ego and not be prepared to vary what you believe in, and he had to, with Derek Adams coming in, and for me it blended really, really well.
So on that, yeah, great questions, Gav and Nick, and thanks, Aaron, for those answers. And Chris, if we then come on to that, you know, it's so easy to sort of, as fans, to get frustrated. I did break, you know, hands up. Very late on, in terms of, I was like, oh yeah, maybe he's got to go. I can't forget what away game it was, but it was when we hit that rock bottom, I think. And we're on the show. We're very, very balanced throughout, and I think all the guys that have watched us for long enough know that it takes a lot to really react, because we like to give a bit of a full context to everything. But I was one, Carl and Andy as well, where we sort of broke on it and like, yeah, you know, maybe we do need to change something, but. Chris, that whole point of these players and the way, you know, Aaron has just articulated that from those questions, it's a hell of a difference, isn't it? But how important, and I said it in my monologue, how important was it with the Derek Adams appointment for the board? Because let's face it, and we said it at the time, getting rid of Cleverly, you're not just getting rid of him with his 3-year contract, several hundreds of thousands of pounds a season. It's also his two backroom staff at the time. Yeah, would go naturally as well. They're on contract, so there's big money. You're talking a serious amount, maybe upwards if it was that £1 million, maybe £750 million a season. Then you're paying off contracts. Then you've got to go and get someone new in. And as we've obviously unraveled, which was inevitable, the finances weren't great. So making that decision to bring Derek Adams in just after Parkinson moved on, Paul Byrne came in temporarily at that time. How key was that, Chris, to that point of the season?
Yeah, I mean, you think about Argyle, they sacked Ian Foster, so they were still paying him. So you don't want to get into the world where you're paying 2 or 3 different people to be your manager when you can only have one in charge at the time.
Chelsea.
I'm sure that would have been a factor in the decision making and the thought process that went on with regards to Tom Cleverly. When he was appointed, he said one of the attractions of the Argyle job was that he'd been told it would be a long-term project. And Simon Hallett, I remember saying as well, was that they were looking for somebody for the long term, i.e. they didn't want another Miran Muslic who would, you know, jump at the first opportunity that came his way, albeit it was a very good opportunity that Miron got. So I think there was mutual interest in making this a long-term project, getting a bit of stability back. You know, let's look at it. Tom Cleverly's the first manager at Argyle to see out a full season since Stephen Schumacher in 2022-23. Yeah. So that goes against the grain of the way that Argyle want to be as a football club. Derek Adams coming in was, it felt like a good appointment at the time. Somebody who knew the club, who would be a good sounding board for Tom Cleverly. That's the way that Tom saw it. I do think that maybe the supposed influence of Derek Adams on the training ground and with tactics, I'm not totally sure that was a massive factor, because Tom Cleverly has got his own ideas. He's got his own staff. I don't think they would have just let anybody come in, whether it's Derek Adams or anybody, and just call the shots. But I do think it was very useful for Tom to have somebody who he could say, well, what would you do in this situation? You know, would you consider changing formations? Was it a coincidence that Argyle went to a 4-4-2 not long after Derek Adams came in? And again, I can't remember who said this, but sometimes you can't be too proud, and sometimes you have to listen to other ideas. Tom Cleverly's 36. You know, he's a young man in a job. So to expect him to be able to know everything, to get everything right, particularly at a club that was in such turmoil, again, was in hindsight unrealistic. So bringing in Derek Adams, calm head, clearly focused on the recruitment. I mean, Ronan Curtis was a signing that had Derek Adams' stamp all over. You know, Ronan was at Portsmouth when Derek was in charge of Argyle, Paul Cook, Portsmouth, that rivalry and everything. So I think Derek's appointment was very, very timely, very good. But I do think, to give Tom his credit, he realised along the way that 3 at the back and passing out wasn't going to work. He realised that looking at the teams that were successful in the division, they needed to be more, direct, play 2 up front, get crosses in the box. And once they found that system, it worked a treat. And having spoken to Tom this week, that style isn't going to change next season. Recruitment this season is to find players who will fit in to the style of play that they've adopted in the second half of the season. So anyone coming in, they're going to need to fit that system.
Do you think, Chris, if with Derek Adams coming in, that experience of League 1 and 2 has given him that edge to help Tom? Because obviously Tom's only ever managed really in the Championship and he's still at a young age. That experience that Derek's had to drag out results to get the winning promotions previously with Argyle, do you think that experience is also keyed down with him, and also knowing the staff in the background as well to make it an easier transition?
I think in any job that we do, in any of us, if you can have somebody with experience that you can call upon and sound out, that is never a bad thing. That's a good thing to have. Remember, Tom played in League 1 with Wigan, during his career. So it wasn't as if he was coming into it totally blind. But League 1 is very different from the Championship. We've all seen that this season, haven't we? The style of play, the quality of the players, the intensity of the game, the way it's played, everything about it. So, good experience. And I think Simon Hallett said at the Fans Forum or at some point fairly recently that with hindsight, again, they should have brought somebody in when Tom was appointed. Rather than,
you don't, if you're bringing, he's basically CEO of football, right? You don't bring a young CEO who's got promise into a company and not give him a mentor and a good chairman to wrap your arm around the shoulder and say, don't make that decision, make this decision, bounce everything off me. And that's what we didn't do it with Foster. We didn't do it with Rooney until we were too late with Phelan for about 3 weeks. And then we went. I was quite surprised that Tom Fox, and we kind of tried to put a positive spin on it early in the season, saying, well, they're all young and they can all learn together. But it was like, learn from who? Because as a coach, Aaron, how as a coach, if you haven't got that wily old number 2 like Phelan, who do you go to? Because you can't go to the CEO and say, oh, Paul, I'm thinking about changing to 4-4-2 on Saturday. What are your thoughts? He's going, I don't know.
Yeah, very true, very true. And you don't want to be seen to be trying to figure it out as you go, because then it looks very reactive. Like experience, you can't negate experience. You have to accept it. There's not to say that if you are experienced, you know what you're doing. But when you've got the likes of someone like a Mike Phelan who has done it at the top, it's probably just the conversations. And I think that was the addition of Derek Adams. It was probably just the conversations that were away from tactics. And it might have been how you just enter a building and get the players thinking about the responsibilities and just having those, and also an opportunity to vent some stuff and bounce ideas off. Like the best way to develop a structure is to share ideas. The one thing you don't want is for everyone to look at you and say, tell us what we need to do. Because I think that just heightens pressure. Yeah. And like I said at the start, I take my hat off to Cleverly, because for him to acknowledge that and want to work with Derek Adams was fantastic, because it clearly worked. And now I'd like to think that will only galvanise their relationship moving forward into the new season.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. We got Voodoo in the comments. I'm not coming to some of the comments because we've got some good stuff to talk to. I'll try and get to some later where I can. So keep chatting amongst yourselves in there, guys. Some good points. But I am giving Stephen Cooper, a long-serving fan of the show, a yellow card for trying to ask Chris Errington what he thought of the Rooney situation. Let's not look back. Let's just move forward. Come on, you know better than that, Mr. Cooper. You know better than that.
David Kemp was shit as well. So, we could go back that if you want.
Love it, love it. Yeah, so I think the sort of, for me, Voodoo as well, who's in the chat, it will definitely tell us all. It was all down to Derek Adams. He was pulling the strings, but you can understand as Ian's nodding away there. Ian, do you agree? Are you saying that you agree with that side of Voodoo's thoughts then?
I would say Derek had quite a good influence on that. Go back to basics and then see how it goes. And obviously, Tom realised that I think when he worked with the team, he had and he had the tools with it. It worked right. And going back to that basics was the way it was going forward. And I think he's learned from that and realises that's the only way you can do it in League One. Maybe in the Championship in the future it will change, but you can't play pretty football in League One. I'm sorry, it's got to be direct, get the ball in the net, and that's it.
Yeah. I would say though, sorry, Mike, just one sec. I would say that, correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, you're closer to all this than certainly all of us, probably potentially Chris. But would you say Derek's acted more like a non-exec in terms of the way he's not had his boots on kicking the ball with the guys? He's been that sort of like, maybe we should be hard to beat. You know, how do we, let's try and set up to do this or to do that. He hasn't been directly inputted, as some of the fans have said, surely, no?
Well, I had Derek Adams come to one of my master's sessions 2 weeks ago. He came and spoke to our students about leadership and operational leadership, and he said then that he had no input at all in terms of like the training schedule. He would go and watch, and he's there regularly, and he might ask questions of Cleverly, but not in a controversial way, just trying to understand what he's trying to do. So he said to us that he was very much aware of his role. His role isn't to interfere, but it's to support. And I think, maybe I'm not speaking on Tom's behalf here, but maybe that helped Cleverly just relax a little bit, because if he felt that he was just eagle-eyeing him and watching him all the time and watching every move he made, you'd feel a little bit judged. Whereas if he knew that he was not responsible for any of the training bits and that was left to Cleverly and his team, then I think it makes it a lot calmer and a lot kind of a happier place for sure.
It must have been, for me, like the only thing the way I looked at it was Derek's like trying to take the chaos out of the situation, because you could see Tom and Chris, you interviewed him twice a week probably for the whole of that sticky patch. You could see his angst getting worse and worse, and it was like, I'll double down, I'll work harder, I'll be in at 6, I'll be in at 5, I'll be in at 4, I'll leave at 11 o'clock at night. That sometimes you just need someone to just go, hey, right, take away the chaos, take away everything else, calm down. Let's look at this from a really different perspective. Right, what do we need to do? Stop conceding goals. Okay, how are we going to do that? Let's set up 4-4-2. Let's get some players in the box. Would it have been something along those lines, would you think? Chris, you would have seen him get more and more. We could only see it on the camera, but he looked like he was frantic towards sort of early mid-November.
Yeah, he had the weight of the world on his shoulders, no doubt. And I think back to that Port Vale game where it was the two teams bottom of League One. I think it was about a week and a bit after Derek had returned as director of football. And I agree with Aaron. Like I say, I don't think Derek Adams has had a massive input into the tactics, but I'm sure conversations would have taken place between him and Tom before that Port Vale game. How are we going to go there and get a result? And, Argyle were much more pragmatic in that game. They ground out a 1-0 win. And for a little while, it took them a few more ugly, scrappy wins, and then confidence builds, and then belief builds, and then you bring in a couple of key players in January, and then everything flourishes, so that in March and April, every time Argyle went away, they were scoring 3 or 4 away from home. And that only took, 3 or 4 months. So, I think Derek was a good sounding board for Tom. Tom called him that. I'm sure he had words of advice for him. And if Tom needed somebody to ask, who better than somebody who'd had a lot of success in League One and League Two, who knew Argyle, who knew the issues that are unique to Argyle in terms of location, trying to sign players, all the travelling, all those issues. And rather than having to do it by himself, because let's face it, Matt Bevans, Damon Lathrop, young coaches as well. It's a very young team. Yes, we've got Kevin Nanskaville there as well, but to have Nance to call upon, Derek Adams to call on, but with his core group of people that worked with him at Watford and then came with him at Argyle, that clearly was a big factor in Argyle's improvement over the second half of the season. No doubt.
So, over your 29 years of seasons covering Argyle, Tom's probably one of the youngest managers we've had, a permanent manager, isn't he? And how do you feel that he's actually embraced the city? Because obviously you've seen him behind the scenes a lot more than us. And how do you feel that he's coped with those away games? Because like most managers before always complained about travel, but Tom seems to have embraced it really well this year and taken on. So how do you find him when he's at away games and after the matches?
Well, I mean, can any of us remember too many times when Argyle have won more away points in a season than at home, which we've just seen this season? 12 away wins at home in the league, wasn't it? And 10 at home. I've had the privilege of reporting on Argyle for 29 years. You guys have watched Argyle for many, many years. It doesn't happen. I remember when I first started out, there was a period of nearly 2 years where Argyle didn't win an away game outside of Devon. I think they might have had a win against Torquay. Nick, you're smiling. You remember that one, don't you? It took about a couple of years ago in the late 90s. So to get the turnaround that there was, I think Tom, he is very committed to doing a good job for Argyle. Now, how long this will last for, no one can say in football. You know, sometimes decisions are made by managers, sometimes decisions are made by clubs and owners, but he is very committed. I buy into his commitment, and he is going to do his utmost to bring success to Argyle. He can't guarantee that he'll do that. None of us, can guarantee it. But he, I think, has learnt a lot from those first few months of the season. A lot of people would have, crumbled under pressure. Thanks to Derek and the support of others around him, I'm sure he came through it, and he will now be a much, much better manager, head coach, than he was this time last year. So I think that stands Argyle in good stead going forward.
Yeah, I think to end on the Derek Adams appointment piece, I think credit, and they've taken Simon has a huge amount of stick this season, rightly or wrongly in people's views. Every fan will have an opinion, but they have to take a huge amount of credit for that appointment, because like I said in my monologue at the start, was that one of the best decisions they did make? There's many that they've got wrong with the challenges of the success and all that sort of stuff there. But I think, to end on that, however you look at it, whatever you believe as Voodoo, and even to your Voodoo and everybody else in the chat and that's watching, and Ian, that he had maybe more involvement. You've heard from Aaron there and Chris there on that their side of what they see, and I think that's been brilliant insights. But above all else, thank God, whatever it did sort itself out and end up with us having a better end to the season. So the other big thing coming into that time frame as well was injuries again. And then, Chris, we're sort of like, what is going on? Like, what is happening on the pitch? What's happening in the training ground? Where are all these injuries coming from? Although, salute Malachi Boateng for staying injury-free every game of the season. But yeah, Chris, it's like that pressure, it all builds up, doesn't it? But then we get starting to settle down. Joe Rules obviously wasn't playing, didn't have a pre-season, if I remember that correct. Got into the rhythm, then started coming in and added that stability and experience in midfield. And immediately we started to see an improvement, and Argyle started to pick up results going into the festive period.
Yeah, the injuries, I mean, I've not seen too many seasons like that where you go and sit and see Tom on a Thursday for the press conference at lunchtime, and it was like sort of emergency ward 10 when he started going for all the casualties. It was ridiculous. And just when it felt like, oh yeah, we're beginning to sort of see some light at the end of the tunnel, then Tom would sit there and say, yeah, bad news, we've lost so and so. And I'd be interested in Aaron's opinion on this, but that has to have been really demoralising for the players in the dressing room, where you're constantly losing players and you know that you're struggling, you need your key players. There's always people picking up injuries and things like that. So it must have been a really difficult time in the dressing room to keep the belief, keep the faith when player after player is going down injured all the time. That's not easy, is it, Aaron?
No, absolutely not. And players will start looking around. the one thing that the fit ones would know that they're going to play next week, you know, and then
that's not always a good. That's not always a good thing.
No,
though,
it's
is
not. And the reason being is because then you can get a little bit complacent, and maybe players start to play within themselves. This is a speculation, but they might start to play within themselves a little bit because they also don't want to get injured.
Yeah.
It seemed to be because they would have done some work behind the scenes to look at trends, like reasons why these injuries are happening. And there were a lot of muscular injuries. There was a lot of quite severe injuries, Amici and Watts, like, you know, and even
Ibrahim.
Joe Rules and Ibrahim. I think Ibrahim's was an ankle injury, wasn't it, in training?
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
But I think Watts was an early tear of the hamstring in the game away at, I can't remember who it was. It was early in Luton.
Yeah.
And of course, Amici did his in training. So they're quite severe injuries. To be ripping the tendon off your bone from the hamstring are quite severe. So was it a coincidence? They would have done some decent research around that. And no doubt they'll be mindful of it next year as well. You know, what we don't know, it could even be how the training pitch is set up. We just don't know. Like sometimes the bodies that these players, you know, the intensities that their legs go through is so intense nowadays. You know,
has there been more running this year? Are they running a lot more intense in training, or is it a lot more tactical that Tom uses?
I had a chance to have a chat with Tom this week, and I asked him about injuries and what sort of research or thoughts that they had on it. And it was interesting. Some of the things he said as possible answers and solutions, that they at the start of the season they were having Sundays and Mondays off, trying to give them a bit of a break. They changed that to having Wednesdays and Sundays off. They changed the training schedules so that they did longer sessions rather than short, sharp sessions. And Tom, the way Tom put it was there was fewer accelerations and decelerations in training, which if you're doing that a lot, the feeling is if you've constantly got players sharp, short all the time, you do run the risk of more muscular injuries and things like that. They've looked into traveling, when they travel, training on the way up to away games and things like that. So they've used Manchester United's training ground, Everton's training ground, Leicester City's training ground. So like Aaron's touched on, they've looked at a lot of different things. You know, they've changed the days they train. They changed the days of the intensity. They've changed the style of training. They're traveling differently. And I think towards the end of the season, there was an improvement in terms of injuries. And we ended the season with most of the squad fit. And so I think that's another thing that Tom and his staff will have learned. And I would expect them to keep implementing next season so that hopefully we don't have as many injuries as we did this year.
No, that's a good insight.
Oh, yeah, brilliant insights, though, Chris, with your chat then from Tom this week, because and I'm no sports fitness expert, whatever. Completely, but the short, sharp bursts and all of that lot, rather than moving to longer sessions. I mean, sort of Aaron, that does take it out on your body, I suppose, doesn't it? Even no matter how fit you are, and everybody was going, what's going on? We talked about it at length on the shows. And, I think that there, from what Chris just said, does give you some interesting insights of how the club have tried to tackle it. And yes, the injuries started to become, less of a problem towards the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And what they would have done is started to monitor trends. Like Chris said there, the changes in their training schedule, maybe even the time that they were eating and things like that would have all added to the information that allows them to build a better platform for next year. Obviously when pre-season is about developing the fitness levels, allowing them to sustain the intensities of the season, and then during the season it's about tapering it in due course to ensure that the bodies can cope with different periods of the season, i.e. the Christmas period is highly intensive, there's lots of games going on, the recovery is reduced, and then there'll be spells during the season where they only go Saturday to Saturday, so that comes into play as well. But the bodies will everybody will have a threshold. So when they're training to certain levels, if you keep going, I'm not saying this happened, of course, but if you train under that threshold, Liverpool are a prime example in the Premier League. If you train under that threshold and then expect that threshold to be higher in games, things will break. And notoriously, footballers are renowned for picking up lots and lots of muscular injuries. So it's about trying to merge the two together so that you mitigate the risk as much as possible.
Yeah,
Chris,
I think Voodoo with a very valid point. Boateng is just clearly a different beast. Boateng did all the different training without injuries. Some players are just more prone to others. I'm just conscious, obviously, with guests. Chris, are you still okay for the minute for time?
Yeah, I'll hang around till 9 if that's okay, Mike.
Yeah, that's fine. So,
I mean, the point I'd make about Boateng and ever present one, that's an incredible achievement by Malachi to start 46 games. But yeah, a lot of it is the way that players look after themselves. Some are more prone to injuries than others. You've got to manage their workload. There's got to be awareness that you can't work them too hard in training if they're playing every game. There's never one simple solution to an issue like this. And you've got to try and tick as many boxes and make it as best as possible as you can for as many of the players, young and old, to get through the season. And I do think it was very unusual for a football club to have so many injuries as Argyle did. Although, having said that, I can think of speaking to my colleagues who cover clubs around League One, and they will quite often say to me, well, we've got lots of injuries as well. And it does feel, I think it's a genuine feeling that there are quite a lot of injuries in football these days. I do wonder if the schedule is really demanding. The speed that games are played at is very demanding. The pitches are fantastic, but Aaron, again, might know better than me, but they're quite firm, these modern pitches, the grass, sand pitches. That must put a strain on players' bodies. So I think there's lots of reasons why it's very difficult for football players to stay fully fit for the whole season, which again, I'll go back to Malachi Boateng to play 46 games in a season. Unbelievable. Fantastic.
Yeah, no, I think, well, look, it is. Let me just, because we're conscious to give Chris a bit of focus. Aaron's just gone to get his charger. So while he's off doing that. So those of you that know, although Aaron might not hear this now, but Aaron's not the only one with all the graphics on his screens at times. So although if you haven't watched any episodes of Argyle Analysis, it is really worth doing. I'll be honest, I don't get to watch as many as I would like. Gavin drools all over them every week, but they are absolutely brilliant. But I wanted to show just a picture as I get Chris to sort of give his thoughts on the back end in the next 10 minutes, but also his player that really stood out for him. So on this video that I'm about to show, come on, let's system catch up with itself. So this is a season race. So this is, some of you have seen it on the show before. I've highlighted ourselves and also Exeter, because why not? But you can see as we go throughout that season, and it's at that point there, just went past it, where we hit rock bottom in November, and how it was sort of a bit up and down, but certainly more down than it was up. And then as we started to move on and things started to kick in, we started to build and build as we got into December, entering into January, and look at that climb. Obviously, Ronan Curtis, and in February, Herbie Kane also joined, and it just continued with Argyle's form to go up as Exeter dropped off. Yes, we got all the way to the end, looked so close to that playoff line, but it wasn't to be. I do have equally a home form version. So this is the home form throughout the season. So you can look at this flat line at the bottom here, and how that's just scary, isn't it? To see that dragging.
I can't remember on the bottom. Yeah, I can't remember the last time we had a bad run like that at home. Not for many years.
No, and then the reverse, of course, in our away form. where that just, as I said at the start, as Chris said, it just the turn of form. We've discussed it all throughout the show all season. Is just insane. This is what it was like supporting Argyle at times. It looks like a heart rhythm than anything else. But yeah, look at that look, and we were right up there in those automatic places with our home form. So, Chris, yeah, visualization. When I've done this, part of an app that I'm doing for what I do with the shows and also for others. But it really paints that picture, doesn't it, of how crazy the season's been overall and home and away.
Yeah, I mean, one of the standout points for me in a bad way this season was the Huddersfield away game on November the 8th. That was the game that Argyle lost 3-1 and went to the bottom of the table, and the fans were travelled in good support to West Yorkshire, and they let Tom Cleverley and the players know what they thought at the final whistle. And it was a long old drive back to Plymouth that night, 6.5 hours. And I remember thinking, how on earth are they going to turn this around? It just looked a thankless task. There was no cause for optimism having seen them play against Huddersfield that day. So to see that graph of the away form in particular is just incredible, because they went from losing regularly away from home to I'm never going to remember, 5 at Doncaster, 4 at Blackpool, 3s here, 4s there, and that was a remarkable turnaround. Then you see your graphic you did there, Mike, and the home form again totally out of character with what Argyle do, and I know that was really frustrating for Tom Cleverley that they couldn't get that fortress home park mentality going. And in the end, even those games against Bolton and Exeter towards the end of the season, you couldn't say, well, they cost Argyle the chance of a playoff place. Although I do think that over 46 games, it is fair to say you finish where you deserve, and every team can say if buts and maybes along the way. Absolutely. Argyle finished 8th. If you'd said to me after that Huddersfield game they'd have finished 8th, I would have absolutely bitten your hand off after questioning your sanity. So, they came a long way in a relatively short period of time.
I don't know if any of you've seen it. I don't know if any of you've seen it, but just touching on what Chris said there about if you'd turn around and said after that Huddersfield game, Argyle would finish just outside the playoffs. Charlie Price has done a end of season review with Tom Cleverley, and it's on. I think it's free to watch on Argyle TV. It's a really, really good watch. But he actually said, Tom Cleverley actually says in there that they had 2 targets that they set themselves in December, which was one was to get to Wembley in the Virtue, and one was to finish mid-table in the league. And he said out of those 2 targets, he felt at the time that only one was achievable, and that was to get to Wembley in the Virtue. And for the squad to then turn it around and finish where we did just goes to show how much of a turnaround that season was, really.
Absolutely. I mean, Chris,
Mike, can I ask you a question about it?
I'm just conscious of time.
Just on those dark times, Aaron. When you're I'm assuming you get paid for what you do at Argyle Analyst. Some kind of
you don't have to answer that. Hang on a minute.
The reason start buying chocolate.
How, when you see a stinker and when you see a run of results where you go, this isn't working, how freely can you be? Because I pretty much watch every piece of Argyle Analyst show for the season. I think I've watched every one, right? And you're very good at being slightly articulate around sort of dressing up the issues, but how free have you got in terms of the club being your paymaster, slating a performance or slating a player or slating a tactical decision or a structure with Charlie? Because it seems like you've got quite a nice balance, but it must be hard at times. When Chris saying, I've just spent 6.5 hours now driving home from Huddersfield with an absolute awful performance where there's 2,000 fans baying for blood, and then on Monday you've got to stand there with Charlie and go, right guys, let's pick the bones out of this one. How much freedom do you have on the sort of output of
that? It's a good question, Gavin. So when Charlie and I kind of got together and he pitched the show, I kind of said I'd always be keen to do it, providing we say things in a fair and honest way without being critical personally. There's no need to personally attack people, because that's not the aim. However, I wouldn't fluff over the things that are poor. I must admit, it was harder for some of the performances in the Championship. Like I remember quite vividly the Bristol City away and the Norwich City away. I think in the space of 4 days was dreadful. Like to run analyst shows on that was hard because a lot of it was quite individual in the way that players were applying themselves, and that wasn't down to attitude. It was just poor. It really was. So what we do is we will never ever personally criticize players. That's not our job. No one needs to hear that. But what I try to do is provide reasoning on why it perhaps didn't go as well as it should have done, and cleverly and the coaches and the players. Well, maybe the coaches more than the players, because players don't know everything. You know, even though they are professional footballers, their education isn't as knowledgeable as some would expect, knowing that they do it for a living, because they're young men. You know, some of them are 19, 20 years old. They're still kids. So what we try to say is that we'll give an honest view, where I can then try and bring reason as to why it doesn't work or does work. And I think people like that, because I refuse to just say, oh, well, I'm sure they'll fix it, when in reality, things that they could do to fix it, then we try to give our view. And they've been very supportive, the coaching staff, that they've seen some bits of it, and they've said that what we've said is spot on. And, you know, so that means to us, we feel that it's pitched at the level that's appropriate for the club, because it's an internal channel, and to give an honest reflection to the fans who obviously pay to subscribe for the channel.
Do you then get sort of live feedback, if you like, from the coaching staff once you've put something out, or does it get vetted by the coaching staff before it goes out, just in case there's anything that you don't want to flag for future opposition, or they feel that you've been overly critical or whatever?
No, we don't. Anything that we feel is inappropriate, we wouldn't push out. However, in my, since I've been doing it, we've never had that problem. So the club have never come to us, or the coaching staff have never come to us and said, you can't say that, please don't say this, because my job isn't to unveil I don't know what they're doing in terms of game plan. We use an educated assumption. I'm not part of their team talks. I'm not part of any information about what systems are going to play. Through my coaching knowledge and understanding the game, I think I'm quite good at breaking it down and trying to develop an understanding of it.
Very good.
And therefore we give our view. But we'll, like I say, we'll never, if I was ever exposed to any secrets, I'd never reveal any of that, because that's not my job.
No. But you're also working with individual players in the squad, like you've done with Bim this year. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, can we come to that in a minute, purely because I'm conscious of Chris and the time, Gab, but brilliant questions. Unfortunately, we have no control of the content when we're live streaming, and Gavin's a nightmare every show. No, he's not. Chris, so just to wrap up, thank you for coming on again tonight with some brilliant insights. Who has really stood out for you, and also where do you think, what Argyle do they need to focus on? I've got later slides to go the retain list and that lot for everybody to see later on. But from your point of view, summarise that up for us.
If I was doing my own player of the season, and everyone has opinions and everyone's very valid when they've seen plenty of games, I would have gone Boateng 1, Mitchell 2, Tolai 3. But the fact that you could probably stake a claim for 2 or 3 others as well shows you the improvement that was made over the second half of the season. So they need to improve. I think they've got 18 players under contract as per the retain list, which came out the other day. Now, there's Michael Bailey's included in that, and Tom Cleverley's made it clear he doesn't expect him to be back. And we can speculate to our heart's content about Tolai and Peppel and what's going to happen to them this summer. So clearly, if one or both of those were to move on, the striker position is going to be very important. I think looking at the squad at the moment, goalkeeper needs to be looked at. Interesting that Connor Hazard has been offered a new contract. Be interesting to see whether he stays, whether he accepts that, whether he goes on somewhere else, maybe to try and stake his claims at international level as well at club level. But I think, goalkeeper, centre-back, which should hopefully be Alex Mitchell, centre midfield, Joe Walls would be a really good addition there, and then a striker. Say if Tolai goes, it's that spine of the team that I think if they can get that right, if they can get keeper, Mitchell, Rules, ideally keep Tolai, but I think that's probably wishful thinking. We'll see. But if you've got a spine to your team, that is so important. And when Argyle was struggling in October and November, I couldn't see any sign of a spine of the team at all. And that is one of the big progresses that's been made, that you can see there's a structure there. You can build all the nice stuff around it, but if you haven't got the structure, if you haven't got the spine to it, any football team, I don't see how you're going to have success. So if Argyle can nail that spine of the team with their recruitment and keeping people together, then I don't see why they can't do well next season. And I will shoot off in a minute, Mike, but thank you very much for the invite. It's nice to see you all. Enjoy your summer breaks. Thank you for your support with my work.
Chris.
Let's hope we've got another eventful but successful season for Argyle in 26-27.
Yeah, and it's great to see, Chris, you embrace the video content this season as well. You started doing your video recaps from the press conferences.
You need to give me a few more tips, though, Mike. Your graphics are something that I need to learn a bit more about.
Well, I'm just trying to outdo Aaron, basically. The graphics.
Good year for you next year, Chris. 30 years.
But yeah, look, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we'll catch up, I'm sure. And if you're happy to, we'll get you on for pre-season.
Always happy. Feel free to call us on. And thanks again for the invite. And have a good rest of the evening, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Cheers, Chris.
Now, just because our next round, as Chris heads off into the night, is to get a bit more, of the sort of analysis side. Gavin's so keen, as he was eager just then. So, apologies for just parking the brakes for a second as we saw Chris off. Nick, I know you've just said in the chat that you've got to go and do your best Gordon Ramsay again for.
No cooking tonight.
Oh, is there not?
No cooking tonight.
So is there any final words from you then, Nick, before you shoot off that you want to pit out tonight?
Just really, it was what a crazy season it was, to be honest. We had a few things planned as well from a PAFC Displays point of view, which we couldn't get done. So I know we've had a few questions come in about the Joe Edwards 250th display that we were raising money for. Just want to put everyone's mind at risk. We haven't wasted that money. We've still got that money. It just happened that he got sent off in the Luton game, which kind of ruined it for us. And then he got injured, and then we had no games in November. And then by the time we had no home games in November, and then by the time we had a home game, it was the middle of December, and he was on 258 or something like that, and it didn't seem right to do it. So we're just sat here now hoping that if he signs that deal, which I'm fairly confident that he will. He's already talked about how much he loves the club and now it's his club. I'm fairly confident that he will sign that deal. Then we'll look to do it for his 300th, because I think he's only about 18 games away from that.
Yeah,
so
283. I've got a little slide for it, graphic for it later on. But yes,
So providing he signs that contract, we will do something for that 300th game, 100%. We'll get something made and we'll do something special for that. But
big statue, Nick.
Sorry,
a big statue.
We ain't got that much money, mate. We haven't got that much money, but we'll get something sorted, definitely.
Well, if you pit some of Aaron's socks and that on your stand, Nick, outside, he might give you a bit of a commission for that.
They won't fall over.
They won't fall over. Love it. You could stick them to the bottom of the gazebo. So, Nick, look, from sort of speaking on behalf of all the fans of all the great work that not just you but your team do every season in and out. It's fantastic, and it was great seeing what was all set up as well for the Exeter game. Everything was just, it's just first class, and we can't send our appreciations more for that hard work and effort. So, round of applause virtually for those that are not live for Nick and the team.
Like you said, there is a team behind myself as well. There's a core team of about 8 or 9 people as well, and half of them are young kids as well. They're about 14, 15, 16. and they get stuck straight into it, and they absolutely love it. And we couldn't do that without them either. So yeah,
and a great Devonport and Nick for looking after you at that end.
yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
So if there's any more people that want to get involved, just give us a shout on Twitter or Facebook, and we'll give you some details, and we'll look at sorting something out in the start of the new season.
Yeah, well, Plym 1969 says he definitely deserves a statue. I think Nick does eventually. So anyway, Nick, you go off and tend to the wife, and yeah,
Cheers,
thanks
Nick.
again for your contributions throughout the season on the show as well. And we'll just be bigger and better in the new year, in the new season, not new year. So cheers, Nick.
No problem. Thank you, everyone.
So Gavin has, as you could hear just then, is being absolutely itching to see Aaron come on the show and discuss some of the stuff. The key thing, with conscious of Aaron's time remaining, is what a bit more on tactics, but also Bim Peppel. I really want to hear Aaron, with the work that you've been doing with him. But Gavin, I'll hand over to you to ask what other questions you've got. Oh, are you on mute? We can't hear you. No, I can't hear you. he's got so excited.
He's gone.
I muted myself because I knew damn well that you were going to tell me off. This is like sport for me. I could do this for hours. I would buy Aaron a few pints and just sit and grill him. I actually nearly did one day this year. I was in a meeting and you were sat with Bim in the Seiko lounge, and I was like, no, don't go over there.
He was spying on you. He's like that in the corner.
It was the most intense conversation, looked like, I've ever seen. That, bear in mind, both of you having a cup of tea, which I thought was very good for 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. But like you and Bim were like, it was like watching a chess game. You were both so engrossed on whatever you were talking about. I don't know, turn and spin and shoot, whatever. I don't know. But from the reason why I was asking the question earlier, and I got rightfully cut off. When you're analysing the show, but you've also then, I'm assuming, taking selective players that reach out to you and say, I want to improve elements of my game. And I imagine it's taken 5, 6, 1% improvements from high performance, which is obviously your gift by the sounds of it. And I know in previous seasons when we've been doing badly, there's been loads of calls from our fan base going, why can't Aaron Cusack just coach the side? Probably couldn't afford you. But how does that work from a club perspective when you're actually working one-to-one and then appraising them on a Monday night or a Thursday night or whatever?
Well, firstly, it's individual, the player, so it's not sought out by the club.
They come to you then, do they?
They do. I don't just work with players at Plymouth. I work with players at other pro clubs as well. And my job there is to help the individual. Yeah. So I will never ever get involved in any tactical discussions. That's not my gig. It's not my remit. The players have to conform to what the coaching staff and the manager wants. Mm-hmm. In order to shine in that space, I do my best to enhance the individual. So what can we do to make the player better in the system that the manager and the coaches want, first and foremost? It's great that I work with a number of players, or have done, at Plymouth, because I'm a Plymouth boy. I've been affiliated with the club for, I joined as an academy player, if you like, when I was 11. So oh, wow. I wasn't fortunate enough to go through the grade, but I got released at 18, and so I've got an affiliation of over 30 years with the football club, and I want to see players who play for this club do well. And when Bim and I started working together, he wanted more knowledge. He wanted knowledge about how he can improve his game. And like I said at the start, not all players, because they're young players, they don't know everything. And I'm a big believer in process. So what we do is we have a discussion around what he does well, what he needs to get better at, and what he needs to do to get better, first and foremost. That's the important bit. And it starts by leaving an impression in training where the managers and the coaches start going, he's capturing my attention. And then we build from there. And that's how the process starts.
Is that holistic then? So are you speaking to Damien or TC or so, and they're saying, look, we really think Bim would improve if he did this, and then you go, okay, I'll speak to Bim, try and diagnose that, and then work on him on those small elements? Is that how it works, or does he just come to you and say, I've been told this and I need to improve on it?
Yeah. So it's more that, really. So like I say, my job is not to interfere with the coaches.
Yeah. Okay.
So Bim will
I'm
come
assuming
to
they
me
don't
and
mind
say,
though, right? Because in recent years, Hardy, someone said, Hardy, Randall, Bim, one or two others have gone really, really well. And then 6 weeks later, Aaron puts a LinkedIn post that says, "I've just been working with this player," and you go, "Ah."
yeah, I mean, it's a delicate one because not what you got to remember as well, that it's not a pitch session. So we don't do like pitch sessions every week because of the load. And I was very cautious of not doing a lot during that period with Bim during December through to January because of the injuries that they were having. So I didn't want to get involved in that. But what we could do is meet and go through his clips and talk about bits and pieces that he can add to his game. Irrelevant of their level, so they're professional footballers, we still look to select role models. So Bim will study the best players in the world who play in his position, and that's okay because they are the best players and they aspire. These players want to be at that level, so why not emulate them by watching what they do? So
Is it a bit more of a psychological advantage for Aaron for them? Do you go into a lot more sports psychology as well to get them in the right mindset to get that extra edge?
Yeah, great question.
well, yeah, I mean, we talk about, I'm not a sports psychologist, but we talk about what makes players happy and what makes them confident. And in my experience, having worked with a number of players now, as soon as they understand process, they begin to trust it. And if they can trust process, then when it comes to the crunch, when technique under pressure is the biggest test of whether they could do it, they trust what they've been practicing. The worst thing I feel that you can have is a player going onto a pitch on Saturday, not really knowing what they need to do in terms of their execution. So if we can break down the processes, and that starts with training. If I can just rewind the clock and go back with Adam Randall, I've known Adam since he was 12. So I coached him at the academy at 12s,
Oh, wow.
14s and 16s. And there was a moment, it was a really significant moment when he was just breaking through into the first team, and him and I would meet and go through his clips. And I knew how good Rands was at receiving the ball in that vulnerable space as a CDM, where the back four is split and he drops in to get the ball. And he always in first team games just passed it back to Connor Hazard or whoever Cooper, it would have been, not Hazard, it would have been Cooper in goal, or just pop it to the nearest centre back. And I remember saying to him, why don't you spin and run up the pitch with the ball? And he said, because I don't trust myself. Ooh. And that's a really honest conversation. And then we said, well, you are never going to do it in front of 15,000 people if you don't practice it in training first and foremost.
Yeah.
So he and I it was more him. He came up with objectives to go and try it in training in the right way, not just do it recklessly, but in a training game where he receives it in that deep position, try and spin and see what outcomes you get. And then he started to feed back to me that he was getting a lot of successes because he could travel with the ball so well. And then he did it against Sheffield Wednesday, where he came on his sub and we were 2-0 up. And he did it, I think, in the 85th minute. So the players had split and the ball came into him and he spun and drove up the pitch. And he couldn't wait to text me next morning saying, like, I did this. Have you seen this? Because he'd been practicing it in training.
Yeah.
And it's the same fast forward now. It's the same with, the likes of Bim, where he'll go and train and I'll ask him how training went and what went well and what he didn't like and things, he now needs to layer in. And for me, that gives them confidence to push on.
Just on Bim, so when did he, if you are okay to give us that insight, when did he come to you? Obviously, it starts of the season, same with Ona, Seni and that, as most of the players, but obviously being new, it didn't go well, did it? And there was a lot of negativity, for a few players, certainly one in particular that was awful. We won't go into that. But when did he come to you then, Aaron, to sort of start working on trying to improve himself? Because first and foremost, what a thing to do, and what you just said about Adam as well, to actually not just be egotistical and go, well, yeah, actually, I know what I'm doing. That's why I'm a professional footballer. To take stock and say, no, actually, I want to put in the time and effort. Find me a professional that I can go and work with and talk to. And you're not a sports psychologist, but the element of just doing that psychologically is massive as well. But when did he approach you? Was it at the start within pre-season, or when the season unfolded and it wasn't going well?
Bim and I kind of introduced at the start of the season, but then we started working together towards the end of October. So just when he was struggling to get in, he was struggling for form.
Yeah.
Talai had hit the ground running and was scoring lots of goals, and Hosseini was ahead of him, and he was a little bit unfit, and that was part of his agency as well. So his agency is very supportive, and we wanted Bim to be the best version of himself playing for Argyle, and the only way he could do that was leave a lasting impression in training, because he wasn't getting many minutes. And then it was a case of going, okay, well, what does he know? What doesn't he know? And what can he do in training to leave that impression? And like I said at the start, my job is not to interfere with Cleverly in the coaching processes. I would never, ever contradict what Cleverly is saying. So if Bim said, look, the gaffer wants us to do this, we go, right, well, that's what you got to do. So therefore, how can you become the best version of yourself in the system or in the instruction that's being provided to you? But from there, we started to build a profile of, it's surprising that how some players don't quite know the processes of how to score goals. So it's one of the projects I'm involved in with the England girls at the minute, about trying to develop goal scorers. And when you actually break it down and learn how to execute certain techniques when you are in certain positions of the pitch, that's where the trust comes. And then you try it in training and you start to get that consistency, and then it snowballs for me. So then we just kept tabs every month between the end of October through to the end of the season, and of course it all started to flourish for him in the new year when he got a run of games, and that came out of circumstance as well because of the injuries. But what I liked about Bim,
opportunity.
yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, this isn't all about me. This is about a collective effort. You have to give credit to Cleverly and the coaches for doing some great stuff with him as well. Bim for actually acknowledging that he needed help to get better. He changed his diet, and then he started to study the game. Players that study the game understand it better, and if they can understand it better, they can begin. I keep using that word trust. They can begin to trust the processes that they are practicing.
Aaron, you were talking about how Bim idolizes certain players. Who does he idolize that he wanted to focus himself on? Like, who does he really mold himself to?
Well, I mean, the best mover in the game for me is Haaland. So Haaland is very good at what we call going in and out of the eye line. So he hides in the shadows for as much as he can. But we went back quite formatively. So for me, Bim has a similar profile to Romelu Lukaku. So we looked at what he does really well, pinning and spinning and being really kind of physical. Bim likes the physical contact. And there was Brian Brobby as well at Sunderland that we also looked at. So there's bits and pieces in there. For me, Ian, one of the two best goals I thought Bim scored this year. Well, there was a few, but one of my favourite goals was his tap in against Wimbledon.
Yeah, it's class.
Because we had been talking about his clips leading up in that week about deliberately moving, and we'd been studying Haaland, and Haaland scored some spectacular goals for Man City and for Norway, where all he does is he zigzags his way up the pitch and he moves in and out of the eye line of the centre backs. And then Bim did that against Wimbledon. He made a lovely run for Talai, and I think Talai slips in Owendale, and then Bim, as soon as he's blind side of the centre back, it invites Dale just to square it, and he runs in and taps it in, and that's brilliant centre forward play. He made that movement, and that's education for him. But for me, about understanding where and when to apply it. So a huge credit goes to Bim in that circumstance.
It was really enjoyable to watch you. Like, not proud father syndrome, but some of the goals you clearly have been working on with him, and you can kind of tell because your eyes kind of light up and say, "Oh, the blindside movement here. He got in between the two centre backs. One's looking this way, one's looking that way, and then ta-da, here I am." That must be really rewarding for you as a coach as well, as a high performance coach, to go, "We worked on something. The coaching team have worked on something," and then you're sitting there on Saturday with your popcorn, going, "Oh, wow, that must be so rewarding, right?"
Of course, yeah, it is, because it proves is that the methods work.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, the coaches, Cleverly and his coaches will be having similar conversations with him and telling him the same things, which is great. And what I can do is maybe come in from an independent perspective and reinforce what's being said. So I think that helps to double down on Bim's belief and trust in the methods that are being imparted. And then it becomes rinse repeat. Look at his goal against Cardiff, where we had a discussion about try and be someone who hides in plain sight. And if you can learn to hide in plain sight, then you can arrive. And his 2 goals against Cardiff were of that ilk, you know, where Joe Edwards stands it up and he arrives to score. And then I think the cross from Wes Harding went to the back post and he heads it in. And, you know, that's great centre forward play. It really is. And that doesn't come by coincidence. That's someone who's studying his game and really taking a handle on what he wants to achieve as a football player.
I think he also...
Go on.
Go on.
No, I was going to say, Owen Aseni, when I looked at the beginning of the season, looked to be the most natural goal poacher and doing that kind of instinctively. But it seems now that Bim's overtaking him on that action in and around the box. And he seems to be able to have, I suppose, by hours and hours of training and watching videos and studying people, just by naturally now, he's not thinking about it. It's just there. It's part of his game. It's part of his sort of normal muscle memory.
Yeah, sure. What you know, one thing I do talk about a lot in my work in education is on game day, you want things to be automatic. The last thing you want to be doing on game day is asking your body to execute an action, because that's where pressure then overcomes the execution. It's a bit like golf. You know, the top golfers in the world aren't thinking about their hips rotating in the Masters. They're just seeing a dot in the distance and smashing the ball over there. And that's kind of what you want. And the more that you repeat those actions in training, what I call the development phases, where you are consciously working, so the brain is being cognitively challenged as well, then on game day it becomes automatic, and that's where that muscle memory comes into play. And it's not always going to go right. For me, though, I say to Bim and all the players I work with, even the younger players I work with, it's okay when it goes wrong, and I like it when it goes wrong, because it should give them instant feedback for why it went wrong. So as a coach, I always have a conversation with them saying, I quite like to make myself redundant in a way, whereby on game day, I don't want them to look left and right for the support. I want them to figure it out for themselves. And if you can get that, then you've got a player who understands how to correct, especially in the moment.
Yeah. Look, I think
Mike, can I ask one more question about tactics? Sorry, wider form.
No, you can. Aaron, I'm just checking that you're still good.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
Last one, and then I'll just go outside your front door and we'll carry on this about 11 o'clock tonight. You think I'm joking? I'm not.
With Mike, he'll take popcorn from Mike as well.
Just on,
Aaron.
On the end of season thing that I think Nick mentioned earlier, that Tom mentioned about the press, right? So I studied Miron ball for about 4 hours once and did a live lounge on Miron ball, how it worked, high press, get the ball in the box, in the red zone, score, right? TC said something earlier in the season. I think he said Doncaster away was the first time that he's thought the team pressed to get the ball back and score, not pressed for optics and to try and disrupt. Can you break down technically what he means by that? I think I know, but I'm nowhere near as qualified as you.
Sure. So, naturally, you turn the ball back over to try and score goals, don't you? So, what they're going to do is set traps. So they probably knew that Doncaster were renowned. They brought their playing style into League One, so they were quite expansive. And if I remember that game, we went 1-0 down quite early, and they were playing quite expansively, so they would have done their homework leading up to it. So they wouldn't have said, as soon as it goes from the goalkeeper into the centre backs, chase, because that would have allowed them to set it back to the keeper and then pass beyond the press line. So if I remember it quite vividly, they waited for the second pass. So whether that went from centre backs to full backs, but predominantly it would have been from full back into the CDM. And then they would have had a press from the front, the side and behind to turn the ball over and then run straight to goal, because the centre-backs were split. And I think Asani scored, and so did Talai from those similar turnovers. So it was about pressing in the right moments. Because if you just press and press and press, eventually your body will break down. They wouldn't be able to sustain it, you know. But because I was really surprised that Doncaster kept playing the way that they did, and it just played into our hands. And for me, I felt that was the turning point of the season, because we went a goal down. We hadn't picked up any points throughout the season when we'd gone a goal down, I believe. And we actually played well as well. Oh, of course, and the QPR Cup,
So on that basis, what was different then between that moment on and the rest of the season and the games preceding it on our press? Because we seem to just pick the ball up. I mean, the big chances we've created, Ronan Curtis probably providing a lot of the crosses, they've all come from us being really like what I would call Miron ball, where we had Bundu and Hardy and Tajani when they were at the back end of the season doing really well. That press seemed to be like electric. And from that moment on, we seemed to replicate that really well. What's the difference between that and what went on before that, in your eyes?
Well, so what Argyle did really well is they picked up second phases better as well. So what they did is they congested the spaces between the front line and the midfield line. And that allowed us, if you missed the initial press, you got 2 or 3 players then pressing as well. And players panic, like with all respect with League One players, they're not as cultured as Championship players or Premier League players. They can't handle 3 or 4 players coming at them from all angles. So that they got higher at the pitch. They had greater territory and they compressed the spaces between each unit. Earlier in the season, it would have been an attempted press where the front players would have gone and then the midfield would have been too deep and then they just play through and then they got out. So, you know, and then they brought in players who understood the game. Like Joe Rules would have understood that. Yeah. Someone who's played at that level would have just compressed it and pushed in and then marshaled players into position. And, you know, and then you've got the likes of Mitchell and Ross who were outstanding as a pair, I thought, who would have then kind of stepped in. And you only have to look at the Cardiff at home where they were very brave. The way that they played
defensive midfield, weren't they? Most of the game.
Well, they played a reverse C, which is normally really dangerous to play. Yeah. And what I mean by that, for those that don't know, is when if you play a back 4, you never really want a reverse C, where if your 2 fullbacks are on the halfway line, you don't want your 2 centre halves going in, because that invites players on the opposition wide areas to run inwards to play everyone onside. And they played a reverse C where they went man for man to lock on, and that was a very bold move, but fair play because it worked.
Okay. Yeah. I'll shut up now.
Love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I've been trying to scream at the Argyle Analyst Show to ask, and now I've got them. So
well, there's one thing that Argyle TV can be guaranteed on, and that is Gavin's subscription into the news TV. I'm gonna show you one final. I'm gonna ask you to waste 2 minutes more. This is a waste, but you mentioned the Doncaster game. Now, I want, as a fellow commentator that you do on sometimes with Argyle TV. Now, if you haven't seen me put this clip out, this was one of the moments we put in our group chat. There were 3, Carl's dance and Gavin's Exeter laugh last week. But this was my commentary on that Doncaster Argyle game, dressed as Elf because it was festive season. And this is how it unfolded for me on the watch-along show. So, Aaron, let us know what you think at the end of this, if it will load. There we go. Right, a long ball quickly down to Doncaster number 7. Deep in Argyle's half. He enters the box. He tries a pit across. Oh, come on. Jeez. I said it. Good view of the seat, if you come up against a better finishing team, when we have that pressure, they're going to score. And that's exactly what Doncaster have done. Hopefully you all like my festive background here at Home Park. I don't know what this animal is here. That is. Oh, Toloi! Out of nothing! Come on! Yes! There we go. This is a game of goals, people. Come on! Oh, I got caught out there, not watching. What's Sorinola doing here? He gets it off to Aseni. Now, down this left-hand side, he rolls it back to Mumba, who tries to cut in. Who's he going to find? It's Boateng there, who tries to feed it through to Tolly. It's a heavy hit. Aseni! Oh, come on! Yes! Aseni with the goal! It's 2-1 to the Greens! Oh, Toloi's on the break! He's on his own! What's he going to do? It's 3! Come on! Yes!
He's like Buddy the Elf.
It's 3-1 to the Greens! What a bit of play! It's again, they're trying to force the issue and put pressure on as Argyle have got this ball deep in their half. Aseni! What's he going to do? Oh, that's a penalty! Yes! Come on, you Greens! Come on! Obviously, he took the penalty. 4-1 to the Argyle. What a game! And it's still not over yet. It's still not over yet. Michael Hawkes, we're coming for you and that goal difference. That was the Reading ball again. Passes it to Amiechi, who now turns, tries to drive forward. Goes square, though, to Wiradu. Then tries to drive forward. You've got Sorinola on this left-hand side. Overlapping is Talai. He chips it forward. What's he going to do? Oh, is it? Oh, God, come on. Hang on, it's not done yet. Yeah, come on. 5-1. Amiechi with the goal. It was going all over the place in the box.
I think Aaron needs to be wearing that.
Absolutely super. There we go.
I think Aaron needs to be wearing that. Christmas this year. I think Aaron needs that Argyle TV.
For the Boxing Day analyst game.
Aaron, I said at the start, the watch-alongs, obviously there's a few famous people that do them, or certainly Mark Goldbridge, but it was something where I just said I wanted to bring something different. And for those that always ask, I do it on the VPN and I do give my tenner to Argyle. But it's very much like it's just been a breath of fresh air. And, so I've grown more confident in front of the camera over the last 2-3 years with stuff I've done at work as well. But doing the watch-alongs, and Carl's joined me for a few, Harvey England as well has joined me for some. It's just so much fun. And obviously, yes, it's tough when you're losing. But I think the first one was actually Exeter away, if I recall. But yeah, can you give me a grading, Aaron, on my performance there at that game?
I don't know if you've ever seen the old Red Bull shows where they do the soapbox derby. We have to do performance. So I'm going to put a 10 in terms of enthusiasm, absolutely. And costume, of course, I got to give it 10. I mean, I think these things are great because there's so much passion in there because you're all, rooting for the same team to want to do well. So might keep that going because I enjoy it as well. I can't be as, emotionally led in that sense, but I would like to, so it's good fun. Yeah. It's almost like, behind the watershed kind of moments.
I've got to show you these two as well, and if that's okay with you, Aaron. So this is a 30-second clip. So this was the watch-along against Northampton. This is where in the bottom left of the screen we had, because we're trying to build, hence the slogans, all things Argyle. So we had the guys from Boston. It was Brian's like, let's see if we can do something this weekend. I said, well, could you get a live stream from the pub, the Pelleroy, I think it was called, in Plymouth, Massachusetts, is actually where they were, where the pub is. And I said, I'll get you in the corner of the watch along, and then people can just see you, because it's a great way, just to Argyle across the world, so to speak. So this was the clip when we went 3-2 up, and Carl's celebration. I wandered off camera because I got so excited. But yeah, that's just 30 seconds of this. And you'll be impressed with my graphics, all generated by myself on this one as well. But here we go. Is this one? So we don't want Luton to come back in it. Come on, Argyle. It's all in your... Oh, sounds a bit dodgy. Sorry. As Xavier Michiotta-Talai receives it back as he's now charging through just outside the box, looking to get it on his left. He lays it off to Holly. Yes! Take the lead! Get in there! It's Wiradu, sorry. Come on! Excuse me, with the goal. Brilliant. Yes, lads. Come on. There you go. You can see the Boston, the pub down there in the bottom left-hand corner. Sorry, when I screen recorded it back, I didn't have the audio set right. But yeah, like you say, Aaron, it's that passion and emotion. And I think the most I've had on a watch along was around 800, and it was just like just nuts, and we just have good fun with it. So I definitely will be doing more of that, the graphics and stuff, which is what I'm working on with what you saw. I don't know if you saw it when you were getting your battery pack, but that sort of stuff I've been doing development wise, just to bring more to the show to the fans that can't get away and like to listen, Radio Devon or watching Argyle TV, but it's just like brings it together, and you can either suffer badly or celebrate. So yeah, there you go. So there's a bit for those that are joining in tonight that have just like, what's this Block 9 podcast? Well, there you go. There's a snippet of what you can expect more of in the new year. Just to end then, Aaron, again, really appreciate you coming on, and hopefully in the new season as things start to, get prepared and all that lot, it'd be great to get you back on again. I will say now we've got our 3 awards later on, but the one player we just discussed, which I'll give the insight now, our most improved player of the season. This is voted in our WhatsApp group. There's about 50 of us in there now, but we did give it to Bim Peppel. So I know you speak to him if he would like, because last season it was Pleggy. I'm a big fan of Pleggy. He won our Block 9 Player of the Season award, and he got a photo from him with his mug. So Bim is welcome to a Block 9 podcast player, most improved player mug, if he would like one. And also, of course, he's welcome on the show. But yeah, I just thought I'd let you know that before you jump off.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. He's on holiday at the minute, so I'll ask him.
Yeah, and deservedly so. Final thoughts then, Aaron, from you?
I'm going to start with the show because I thought the show was fantastic. So I'm going to start there first. So I really appreciate the invite, gents. I enjoyed that. Those watch-alongs, are great. They're really relatable. I think that's why people tune in. But if I go back to the season, it's a shame that we ran out of road, wasn't it? Because I genuinely felt we'd have won the playoffs. I really did, and I know that might be a little bit far-fetched, but I thought we had momentum, we had stability, we had players in form. There was a real belief, and long may that continue if we can keep the nucleus of the squad for next year. I think they. One of my dark horse kind of players, I really think Jack McKenzie's a talent. I really do, because he offers tenacity. He's got good balance. I like players in the modern game now. I like the balance on both sides. It's no coincidence that Ronan Curtis did so well, but he was playing left wing back at Port Vale. Ronan Curtis, you were never going to get the same qualities.
He was an absolute steal, wasn't he? In January, absolute steal.
And if they can continue and build, and get Joe Rules tied up, I think he will bring massive amounts of experience and quality. I'm really excited about next season. I genuinely feel that we can compete. And almost like top 6 as a minimum is something that they can definitely achieve. But thank you for your opportunity to come on, gents. Really enjoyed it. I look forward to doing it again. If you'll have me, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Aaron, can you just put Bim in your basement, right? Because we can't sell him. So if you can just lock him in and let him out for training and match days, that'd be great.
No worries at all. No worries at all. He might run through the door, though. He's quite a powerful boy, isn't he? So
I'd leave that basement open because you might want to lock Gavin in there if he's hanging around your house later.
Someone just knocked on my window. Is that you, Gav, or not?
Couldn't possibly comment.
No. Okay, no worries.
But no, absolute pleasure in having you on. And like I said, we want to bring, I've been sort of wanting to build up to a number of things. Aaron, we've spoken a lot over the last few months and trying to just tie things in and get you on. But your insight tonight, same with Chris as well, when he tonight and when he's been on before, it just gives such a different angle to the fans that we don't always get to see and hear. And that's fantastic. And whatever Bim decides to do, fair play to him. What if he goes on to better himself, then that's just testament to what he's done. And I think if there's a chance for him to come on either way, staying or going, we would absolutely love that. But thank you for your time. Go and speak to the police, put that order on Aaron and Gavin, and then enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you to your family for sparing us your time.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Now, Finley. Now, I feel Finley's so sorry. He sat there. At one stage, he had nodded off like Harvey does sometimes. But yeah, look, there was a lot to get through at the top of that with Chris and Aaron because of conscious. When I'm planning that and organising it, I do sort of check in with them on how good we are for flexibility. Chris gave us, more as well of his time tonight than originally planned, and given us a lot of his time. So you never know what to expect if you haven't been on these shows before, or you're not aware of the show. But yeah, I've been speaking to Aaron for quite a while now, actually, to be fair, and always wanted to get him on. And Gavin can now tick that off his bucket list. Other than
it's like meeting Elvis, that was for me.
Gavin's now all shook up.
I'm an absolute football nerd, and when you see someone break down, like I'm a rugby player, as probably people will know from this pod from ages. So technically, rugby I can talk. Football, I'm a bit of a novice, but watching Argyle and then coming on this, just seeing the game through Aaron's lens.
Yeah,
and Roger, who sits behind me in the Mayflower, was the club statistician for 30 years. Just opened your eyes of how to watch a game of football rather than, drunkenly screaming at the referee, which is what I normally do. So it's just such a revelation to see a man pick a game apart like that, and you go, oh, and then you watch the next game and see how he's thinking, and it just opens your eyes. It's fantastic.
Yeah, Finley, for yourself, how did you find that with both Chris and Aaron, and hopefully you've still got a voice.
Yeah, it was really informative hearing from Aaron as Argyle analysis to really get that insight to how he sees Argyle and how that works, and also great to have Chris on to have that bit more experience about Argyle, who knows what happens, who has written about it, and he knows what he's doing. And I think it was really good coming on tonight and hearing from both of them to get more insight.
You need to have an apprenticeship with Chris if you want to get into sports journalism. It's like Yoda and Luke Skywalker.
Well, so just quickly, Debbie did say, and yes, I have, Debbie. Have you got that clip of Gavin's laugh? Well, this was the third vote in the which I'll announce the winner in a minute in the WhatsApp group. Now, if you are like WhatsApp group, so we have an All Things Argyle WhatsApp group. It's invite only. Because of course, if we just opened it up, we get all sorts of other podcasters in there, wouldn't we? No, we wouldn't want to risk that. So if you do want to join in, I will warn you. You can sort of walk away for an hour, come back and find 3 million notifications on your phone. But no, it's good, and it allows everybody to still have that engagement, that contact. That's what I created it for, especially out of season, just to even general chat on what's going on. There's a few of us that like different sports as well, which we break out groups to do that. So if you want to come in on that, then drop us a DM either on our Block 9 accounts or personal accounts. And then if we're not familiar with you in any way, obviously we will just sort of have a few questions and check your profile. But yeah, we've had a few, I think we're up to 40 odd or something like that it is in there. So it is growing. So give us a shout. But Debbie, and I'll just add with regards to Gavin's laugh clip, that the Argyle ladies in their Challenge Cup against Exeter did win. Was it 5-1? Is that what happened in the end, Gav? Is that
5-1 and a bit of a punch up by the sounds of it.
Hey, it's not just the men's game that can get rough then. But yeah, 5-1. Heather is there. She's not with us tonight. She sent us a video, which I'll come to later. But yeah, because she was at that game. But as some of you know, the Argyle women's team is something that we've brought you more of recently with Heather, and there'll be more to come with a dedicated segment or show even during the week as well for to grow that women's game. Whether you like it or not, it's no issue. It's not a problem. But it's all about us bringing more things Argyle. So let's get to that laugh, because this just was absolutely brilliant last Saturday. On a positive note, Exeter were relegated. And I got to play that again. Were relegated. Oh dear!
It looks like the Adams family, doesn't it?
It was just the way it came out of nowhere, and you heard Carl also laugh as Gavin started to laugh, and it was just like I don't know, I can hold it together afterwards. It was brilliant.
What's not funny about Exeter going down? Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why I highlighted them in the for those that missed the league rundown. That's why I highlighted it now. I'll show it again later. Right, in the comments, thank you again for everybody that's joined us tonight as well. Whatever time you came in, we did just finish up with Aaron Cusack, who was absolutely brilliant. And I think the other thing I took away from that, the insights were great. The BIM situation, the Adam Randall that he touched upon. But if you're a professional footballer, if you happen to be watching such a quality show, that is the Block 9 podcast. The one thing I would take away from that is, when you finish your training sessions, it's going away and doing some homework, isn't it? Watching other players that you like to see, going and studying the game, getting hold of people like Aaron and see. I mean, Aaron's qualifications are as long as your arm, and they are, really, really impressive. And I think that's important, isn't it? Where you can go away and do that, because you've done well to get to where you are. You may be earning good money. You might be doing really well for yourself, but it's those players that put the time and effort in that can make a difference. And certainly in these lower leagues where you can come out and shine. And I think it is absolutely no coincidence and fair play to BIM for seeing that, realizing his situation, getting in touch with his agency, because we don't hear too much about what the agencies do, but that's a typical example. Getting in contact with Aaron and then working with him. And Aaron, is very humble and not want to take too much credit with everything. It is a team effort, but what a turnaround that has done. Now, BIM could have just not bothered with that and just carried on doing what he's doing. But I think that was, a brilliant insight.
Mike,
And
just a caveat on top of that, as a
Yeah.
fan, if you spend a bit of time listening to Aaron, and I'm going to pump on Argyle TV here because the analyst shows are great, but what I find it rounds off the enjoyment on a Saturday, and even watching other games now, I can look at tactical shape and how the game's set up only because I've learned from him. So I don't think it's just the players need to do a bit of homework, but actually, if you're fanatical as most of us are about the club, learning more about the sport from an expert's eyes also makes the watch along far more enjoyable.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just distracted and I've just retweeted it. So Ninja Matt, evening to you, mate, said someone's definitely got to do a music mix of that clip of Gavin. And I just tagged Voodoo, although I didn't spell Voo right. So apologies, Voodoo. But Voodoo, yes, if you can work your magic on some sort of remix, then that would be hilarious. But yeah, coming to the comments. I knew it was going to be a tough one tonight because, like I said, Chris Errington was on as well. And that was some brilliant insights. I love that bit. He said his interview his chat with Tom Cleverley this week about how they've tried to handle the injury situations. So for those of you that missed that, he was talking about how they changed from doing short, sharp bursts within training to longer sessions. So to not put too much stress on the body, a number of different things. You can go back later and watch, listen to that and watch that. And it was an interesting insight, an interesting angle. And that's why, I've worked hard to get these guys on, and we really thank them for their time coming on because it just gives you a different perspective. Voodoo said, I'll remix today's election results with Gavin. That is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Let's not get into this political. Yes, there you go, Voodoo.
Thank you, Voodoo. Sorry,
no politics. Also, I'll take a minute to just as well thank all those that listen post-match post-show that can't make it for the live and listen on their favourite podcast channels. I'll just throw up this slide, actually. So we use a publishing platform called Acast, your Pilgrims Pod, and I think Argyle Life use the same. A lot of people do to push their podcasts out to every platform that exists for it, but Spotify and Apple are your top ones for that, of course. So, yes, we have gone all the way around the world. On last weekend's watch along, we had someone from Bangkok in the chat. We had someone from Australia, and obviously, of course, the guys from America, someone, I think, from Canada as well. I haven't seen Laura for a while, actually. Camille, who's normally in the chat on our show. So I hope everything is good over there in Canada. But yeah, it's incredible. You can see the darker colours are where the bulk of the listeners come from. To give you an idea, and it does make me feel very humble, as well as I know Gavin and the guys, we maxed out around just over 2,000 active monthly listeners across the podcast platforms over the past couple of months. It averages out around 1,500 a month. That blows my mind. The number of listening hours is just ridiculous. I can't remember the number to log it, but it is just mad. And we are spoil as Argyle fans. And take a moment. A guy called Tom on X tweeted it earlier on today, saying the same thing. But you've obviously got ourselves who came later to the party. You've got Pilgrims podcast and the guys and the brilliant work they do there, and of course Argyle Life as well, who started it all and were there first. And it's a great mix of different views and opinions across all those shows. And it's testament to the amount of you that do support and listen and watch all of us. But yeah, a massive thank you from me, Gavin, Carl, and Andy, and of course the likes of Finley, who's joined us this season. Ian, his first show on. Nick, as you've seen earlier, and others that have followed us for a while as well. Leave Andy out, says Michael Hawkes. And of course, our Reading fan in there. But yeah, so there you go. And we've grown our social channels and stuff as well. And of course, we appreciate with YouTube and the subs. We weren't quite going to hit 1,000 before the end of the season. We're about 730 odd. But it does blow my mind. And those few of you that's paid subscribers as well, really is appreciated. It's why I put a huge amount of effort to do the show and get it all ready, and the guys' contributions and the work that they do as well behind the scenes for me, and that's why I just want to bring you more content, the graphics for the watch-alongs, all that stuff, the women's game with Heather, other guests, and hopefully we might get Bim on the show. Aaron can only ask the question. It might not be just Bim we get on, but at the end of the day,
we've had
just
Pleggy on, haven't we, in the past? We've had Pleggy on in the past.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, Plaguey did the pre-season, didn't he, for us? And that was great. I'm worried now that actually if we have anybody else on, will they get injury crippled before the start of the season? But it's great to have had that. And I will hold and treasure forever that moment outside the Etihad where Plaguey's wife went, "That's that guy from TikTok." And that's what started that connection with Plaguey. But he did have a fantastic season. Hopefully he comes back bigger and better in the new year. So, right, moving on. Let's move on. So let's do a bit of news, Finley, to get you a bit more into the game. So let's go down because I want to always support what others do with their Argyle content. So let me just scroll down a bit. So we did have, didn't we, Finley, a few... Oh, I don't want that one first because I want to come back to that one, Ronan Curtis. We did have a few, obviously, players put out some messages. You can see Finley's account there. This is the one on X, Argyle News Hub, at PAFC News Hub. And he was clipping after he got his account back. So Andy's in the show. I will leave him hovering for a second. No, we'll bring him in. And we'll say hello to Andy in a minute. He's managed to make it back. You can see Finley's we've got some feedback, Andy. That might be coming from you, so I'm going to mute you a second. I've probably caught him out there, but I'll come to you in a second, Andy. So Finley, yes, tell us what Mitchell put in his post earlier on this week.
So yeah, on Instagram, he posted saying what is on the screen. Just want to say a massive thank you to all the support this year. What a special club. Alex Mitchell, I think this season has been really, really good for us. And to be so passionate with the fans and the players around him, he's such a fan favourite. And I think I'd be really glad if he can stay next season because of what he's done. But I think Mitchell is I don't know how to put it. It's like it can on one side it says that he might come back. Some say he might not, but I think he could return. I think with this message, I think it's really giving us a good sign of what he thinks of Argyle. Hopefully can take into consideration the summer if he wants to come back down and play for us.
Yeah, I think we'd all love to see him come back. And then Owen Dale also picking out a message. You want to read that one out, Finley?
Says, we gave it up all, but it wasn't meant to be. But so proud to be part of this group and this special club. Thank you to the players, staff, and of course the fans for your unbelievable support all season. And it's been an absolute pleasure to wear an Argyle shirt.
Yeah, he's and I was was one of my points to come to Aaron with, because on I don't know if it was his last show, if he did one this week, but it was the one before. I think he's done one since. But the Owen Dale, he was talking about Luca Ashby-Hammond in that final game against Port Vale, and then Owen Dale, who really had come alive in the last few games. I felt I could see it there, when he's getting some minutes, and I know he wasn't everybody's cup of tea, as we all have. We all have players that we see different things on, but what an engine that boy has. And yeah, whether or not there's a position where we can get him next season. And then, of course, Finley, Wes Harding is a longer one for you to read out. There you go.
English. It says, Janners, it's been a pleasure to represent this club. The spirit, fight, and undeniable togetherness, the electric home park atmosphere, and incredible away support. Thank you for allowing my family and I to experience the gravity of it. I've had this privilege of spending time with a great group of players and staff. It's been short but sweet. I'm sure our paths will cross again. Blessings.
There we go. Yeah, he brought that experience and was solid towards the end as well, wasn't he? So, right, let me just, guys, we've got a few more bits to get through. So if you're sticking with us, massively appreciate it. Andy's lost his signal. So no sooner was he saying, let me in, he's disappeared. But when he comes back, we'll get him back on. And we'll also give him a yellow card for being late as well. Gavin, was that putting your hand up to say something or just
I
stretching?
put my hand up to see who wants to read the next paragraph. I'm going to be like that. If you read the comments, you'll understand. Ninja Matt, I feel like this is English class again. Hands up wants to read the next paragraph.
Love it. Right, let me just come down to what else have I got in front of me. Obviously, our finishing position for the league, as we know, is 8th. I won't go too much into that, but played 46, won 22, drew 7, lost 17, 75, scored, conceded 63, ending with a plus 12. We couldn't just get that extra goal to be plus 13, where we were minus 13 before Christmas. And then obviously 73 points. Luckily, we did take it to the final game, but Stevenage with that, was it over the line, goal that was given. Luton, who moments later had scored and thought then it was all for them until it sunk in that Stevenage scored just before them. So as Mozza said earlier, the Luton fan who popped in, we'll see each other next season. Right, and let me just check note. Andy's.
Isn't that going to be the Reading fan's going to be our nearest derby next year as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
190 odd miles.
Boxing
Well,
Day.
we'll wave as we go past Exeter. No,
and then it's Oxford, I think, after that as well. So nice and close. Only 3 hours.
Yeah. Well, I did these graphics, so I spent like all but a 3-paragraph prompt in ChatGPT. But no, not actually. It took a bit longer than that to get it right. But just to recap our permanent signings that joined us as Andy does come back in, but I can't see his video yet, so I'll just give it a second. So obviously, as I said at the start, we had Jamie Patterson, Caleb Watts, Jack McKenzie, Bradley Ibrahim, Xavier Amici, Owen Aseni, Brendan Wiradu, Bim Peppel, Eamon Benarous, Luca Ashby-Hammond, Matthias Ross, Laurent Talai, Joe Rules, and Ronan Curtis. Throughout, obviously, you can see the dates on there. Yeah, Andy, I can see you there. 2 seconds. So you can see the dates on there from when some of those joined later. But, what's that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yeah, 16 odd players. It's just mad, isn't it? The change. And then also, the loan signings in particular. So Alex Mitchell joined in August, Law McCabe, Owen Dale, Herbie Kane, and Wes Harding then coming in the new year. So those players that we had, and I think there's a couple there or maybe 2 or 3 that we would like to certainly bring back. Out of contract as well. We have got Luca Ashby-Hammond, Connor Hazard, Zach Baker, Joe Edwards, Brendan Galloway, Eamon Benarous, Sorinola, Patterson, Rules, Wright, Better, Hatch, and Matthews. And as we know, because the club knew we had our show tonight and thought, we'll put out our retain list. So those who are departing the club: Brendan Galloway, Jamie Patterson, Eamon Benarous, Ashby Hammond, Wright, Ogbetter, obviously you've been on loans all season, Zach Baker, Joe Hatch, and Jack Matthews. I'm going to hold it on that slide. Let's bring the grumpy loyal in. Hopefully he's got a stable internet connection now. Yellow card, first of all, for being so damn late. But how are we doing, Andy?
I'm doing good, mate. I've just been sort of whining and dining out with some friends. So it's been a really nice evening. Sat outside eating lasagna and stuff. Really, really nice. Nice to be here as well. We were down in the other side of Teddyford, so it's quite a way down.
Looks like you've caught a bit of sun on the old head there.
Some of the bonce, the bonce is boiling at the minute, mate.
Yeah, cool. Well, I know you'll watch it back because you always do when you can make it, but there's some brilliant insights from Chris Errington and Aaron Cusack, Andy. So you'll look forward to grabbing a drink later and watching those bits back. But we're obviously the retained list came out. So those that are departing the club. So I'll go with you first, and Andy. Looking at who's gone: Galloway, Patterson, Benarous, Ashby Hammond, Wright, Ogbetter, Baker, Joe Hatch, and Jack Matthews. The one who are you going to miss the most? Probably Hammond, isn't it?
Oh gosh, I'd say Galloway out of all those three. There's a lot. Definitely Galloway. Yeah, it's got to be Galloway. He's given so much for the club, even though he's been injured most of it. Obeta, I don't think got a chance. He got shipped out on loan to Barnsley. I didn't think he was given much of a chance. I'd like to have seen it. Yeah, Lasagna was really nice voodoo, and some Chateau de Cornwall as well, mate. Really nice. Obeta, yeah, definitely going to miss him. I'd give him a chance. I think he could have done well for Cleverley. He's done well at Bolton and he's done well at Barnsley. So why not do well at Argyle? Yeah. The rest probably, but yeah. I mean, Luca Ashby-Hammond, I would keep in front of this season maybe as a number 2. Callum Wright could say bye-bye. Belarus feels sorry for. Yeah.
He left, came back, then still didn't.
Yeah, he went off again, didn't he? Shame.
Yeah. So
and Hatch and Matthews haven't really given a chance either. Zach Baker hasn't been given a chance, but I guess he wants to build a strong squad for next season, so that's about right, really.
Yeah. No, cool. Findy, I'll come to you. I'll go right to left. Zach Baker's an interesting one, isn't it? Because if Connor was offered his contract, I've got that coming up in a second. So we'll come on to him in a minute. But yeah, it leaves Argyle potentially with no goalkeepers. So something tells me the club have got something up their sleeve.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah, Zach Baker's a shame because he never really got the chance to play for Argyle, and he's still quite young, which he's got so much potential that he could have played at least one game. But I think with Connor Hazard staying, yeah, it leaves a gap for a number 2, or potentially Hazard might be a number 2, unless we bring in someone else. But or we could bring in Liam McCormick. But it's really interesting seeing Baker leave. He just never got the chance. I think he probably would have been okay.
Yeah, well, look, he's a young lad, so hopefully he's got a fairly newborn, probably about 1 year old now. So young family, I should say. Yeah, I think with all of those, we wish them all well, and thanks to what service they were able to bring to the club. I know Zach didn't really get any chances, and Ian, anyone there that jumps out to you that you're like, yeah, it's going to be a shame to see them go.
Honestly, it's a shame for like Joe Hatch because he had so much potential there when he came on with Tegan Finn previously in the cup games and the EFL Cup. And also, I think Galloway, obviously, we all know his injuries and stuff, but being a part of that 101 team, it's a shame that there's only going to be Joe Edwards hopefully left next year. And going back to your goalkeeping, there was a rumour out there, Baxter, is it, that was on at Bolton at one point, is being linked to Argyle, so maybe, and is also at Watford. That might be something that Tom's got in his mind. He wants to have a new number 1. So who knows?
Yeah, no, I think I don't want to get into rumours tonight because we've still got a few bits to go through. We'll probably wrap it up at 2:30, but we'll see as the season unfolds. It will get chins wagging over the next few weeks. Gavin, your player there that you want to, make a nod to, I should say.
There's only 2 there for me. Brendan, if he was fit, I think is one of the best defenders in the division, and probably would be in the top quartile in the Championship. He's a great player, but he just can't stay fit, which is probably going to be something that when he's in the care home in his 80s thinking, shit, if I could have had a better body in my 20s, I'd have been a much probably wealthier, but also much more fulfilled human, but a great man by the sounds of it as well. And the other one that's disappointed me is Jamie Patterson. He's a real baller. He's played very high-level Championship for a long time. I just don't think he fitted into our system, and I think that's been the big problem. He was signed early, wasn't he, as well? So I think he was probably signed to play in one of the 3 behind a front striker for Miron, and then never really got going. But when he played centre mid at home, I can't remember who against. Was it Huddersfield when we won? It was Huddersfield. I thought he was brilliant. So he's a really good baller, but he'll get his chance elsewhere. I'm sure he's a quality player. But he didn't do enough for us and was completely square peg, round hole in the system of 4-4-2. So they're the only 2, really.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. And obviously, Brendan served us well for a few seasons now. So, yeah, the Derriford ward will be free of... maybe that's I mean this respectfully to Galloway. Maybe it'll be an omen now that hopefully we remain, touch wood, injury free. Yeah, exactly that. So the players that were offered new contracts. So Now, hopefully, because I didn't just say to the AI, go and do me a graphic for Joe Edwards, and I did point it in the right direction for stats. But if someone finds an error, then point it out and rat me out. But yeah, the biggest one I think that everybody is fingers, toes, and legs, everything crossed for is, will Joe Edwards sign on for another season? My gut instinct says, yeah. But yeah, there you can see, obviously, our captain for the Greens, 282 appearances, 24 goals, 27 assists, 20,000 minutes played, club captain, of course. Joining in 2019, League Two winners 2021, League One champions 22-23, EFL Championship survival, where he scored in that 23-24 season. And obviously then we went through the resets after going into relegation. But he has been an absolute diamond geezer and a captain that sets the standards. So Ian, I'll come to you. Yeah, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? I mean, he loves it down here. He's got the crowd behind him. He's clearly got the players as well in the dressing room behind him. So hopefully there'll be some good news to announce soon.
Yeah, I got a feeling the way Joe was at Northampton, especially when it went 2 more years, he was given a bit of a nod to that. And I think with his partner, congratulations to the both of them having a recent little baby as well.
Yes.
Mate doesn't want to be uprooting now. And why not? He's got his coaching badges coming. Who knows in the future, could he be in the back room of Argyle and one day be Argyle manager? And he loves it down here. Why would he want to uproot the family at this age? And he's got the group of fans behind him. He's loved by everybody at the club, and he's got that team together, and he's got a great bond with Tom Cleverley. So yeah, hopefully he signs, and hopefully they'll announce it pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Finley, sort of as you've come out of your diapers when Joe joined us in 2019, and you've seen him over the last few seasons. But he's that foundation that if you can take that experience, we discussed it with Aaron, we discussed it with Chris, we've said about it many times with the likes of Rawls and Herbie Kane and that coming in, he's he'll be a great one to try and build on for another promotion push next season.
Yeah, Joe Edwards has been an absolute brilliant player for us. Hopefully he does have an extension, but yeah, considering that we've got a majority of a young squad, when at the start of the season, Joe Edwards was there to push them on, and of course with other players having more experience, that really brought the club together. But I think Joe Edwards has been brilliant. He's been through highs and lows. Even when we got relegated, he was still committed to the club. So that gives us a really good sign that he would eventually stay on and hopefully get into the coaching with Argyle.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to move on to Joe Rawls because conscious of time, so I won't try and come to everybody on these players. But Joe Rawls was offered. I love the way it's taken that image, his celebration, and jazzed that up on the graphics. Andy, Joe Rawls, his timing coming in. We've spoken about it earlier on the show. He took a few weeks to just obviously get to match fitness, but suddenly in that 4-4-2 change of formation, what a difference he made, bringing that stability and experience and quality in midfield.
Yeah, definitely bringing him in that midfield. It was just one of the key strokes of the season, really, because we were struggling in midfield, as you know, with Boateng and having Werudu playing behind him. So bringing the experience into that midfield was spot on from Clevs, and I'd give him another contract. Definitely, I'd love to have him here next season.
Yeah,
only 11 his injury, but he can bounce back from that, and if he's got another year left in him, yeah, why not? He could be a good captain if Joe steps down.
Yeah, I mean, Gavin, he played only 11 games or appearances, 1 goal, 1 assist, but his impact, is really what helped Argyle, sort of get through and start to progress with that lineup, wasn't it?
I think the key factor is he never had a pre-season.
Yeah.
So he came in November, off memory.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, he needed about 4 weeks.
Yeah, there you go, 25th of November. He'd been training with Aldershot, which are part-time, not played a game, tried to get up and running really quickly. And for someone in the autumn of his career, that's really hard. I think it's challenging enough when you have a pre-season. So hopefully he signs in the next few days. He has a really good pre-season with us. I'm sure Aaron would tell us, but he did earlier actually alluded to it, that having that ball playing 6 that can pick the fences, press when they need to, just have that all-round Championship Premier League experience is invaluable in League One. And we were, well, I don't think we lost with Joe Rolls starting in the 11.
Yeah, good point.
But just having that level of quality of pick and pass, and it was Herbie Kane was the same, probably slightly not as strong a player as Joe Rolls, but he looks a good human being. He seems to get on well with our skipper, which is great because that means there's 2 big leaders in the squad. And I just hope he comes down as a really good pre-season and gets the ground running. Because I think if he had started 20 games, we'd probably be in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think he was. It's just madness the impact that he had, and fair play to whoever recruited him in. His date of birth's the 25th of November. That's what that says. But he did join at the start. That's right. He did join at the start of November, but it was probably around that time, Gavin. Someone will tell us in the comments that he started his first game because obviously of that. Pre-season that he didn't have, he had to have a few training sessions to get in.
He was, I think, three weeks of training before he got over the whitewash, which is frustrating. But I can see why he did it, because if he had gone croc game 1, it'd have been an absolute disaster.
Yeah, I'm gonna just before I talk about Connor Hazard. It's the last person who was offered a new contract. And oh, excuse me. Probably the most surprising. Stephen Cooper's asked about me showing the supposed new kit. I'll see if I can dig out the image, but I really do not like it, so I'm not keen to put it on. I'm not a big fan of it. Whether or not it's another one of those classic builders, wait until you see it shirts, but yeah, not overly keen. So Connor Hazard. So the club have offered him a new contract, which was probably the biggest shock to everybody. Will he accept it? I think unless he has other deals or options, then I don't think he will. I think it's probably the timing is right for Connor and the club to part ways. But yeah, you know, he's played 91 appearances for us. 10 clean sheets only this season. I couldn't quite get the stats out of FOTMob for his tenure. He joined us in 2023, and yeah, he's had his ups and downs. And I think, and to be fair, I like a player that will give it back to the fans when they get in the stick as well. And he's done that a few times to your Devonport end, Ian. But yeah, he's. I think it feels to the fan base from a goalkeeper's point of view, with Hammond being released, and some of us thought that they may offer him as a number 2 an extension. Obviously, Baker going with Connor. If he does go, it just feels like the clean slate on goalkeepers is probably the right time. Ian, obviously, you know, with the banter, or not so much banter, but between the Devonport and Connor, are you surprised at this one?
I think it is a bit of a surprise at the fact that how much has been injuries and also the way the season's been this year. There has been a few strong words from both earlier in the season, but I think that little bit of an argument he had at the away game cleared a bit. I think it was Wickham away when there was a bit of arguments, but I think maybe a clean slate on keepers would be good at the moment. But if he does accept it, I think we need to definitely push Leo McCormick in to be where Zach Baker would have been the third choice, because obviously Leo's coming up. But it'd be interesting to see who Tom has coming in as a potential keeper. If he's got somebody who's got ready for a number 1 spot, is Connor going to be happy to be number 2, or does he want to be that number 1 all the time?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to leave it as that on these. So there's your 3 players offered new contracts, folks. So Joe Edwards, Joe Rawls, and Connor Hazard. It does leave our squad, and there it is. So on screen now, the players that are currently left in the squad. So Matthias Ross, Jack McKenzie, Brendan Wiradu, Julio Plegazuelo, Laurent Talai, Xavier Amici, I can pronounce it now, Caleb Watts, Owen Esseni, Malachi Boateng, Bradley Ibrahim, Bim Peppel, Ronan Curtis, Matty Soranola, Michael Baidu, yes, Michael Baidu still, Caleb Roberts, Freddie Azaka, Tegan Finn, Seb Campbell, and obviously Connor, Joe, who have been offered the new deals. Will Bim stay or will he go? I'm going to quick fire this because I'm conscious that we're running along. Gavin, Bim Peppel, is he going to stay or is he going to go? What does your gut say?
Depends on what his agent says, would be my guess. He mentions his agent nearly in every interview. So his agency have clearly got a very big steer on him, which is fine. It depends what kind of agent they are. If they're an agent that like making money, I would say he'd probably get talked away. If they're an agent that likes to develop and work long-standing with their clients and do what's best for them, I would say another season in League One would be the best thing he could ever have. Because if he gets another 20 goals next season playing a full season, his stock will rise considerably. He will get a much better transfer to a bigger club, and he will probably be in people's minds of being in their starting lineup rather than being a supporting role. And I think we've seen it so many times, and with even older strikers like Ryan Hardy, they've gone to the promised land of Wrexham. They were first in the door. They signed 5 strikers in the summer and another one in January. He was then bumped out on loan, half injured to Huddersfield, and it's been a bit of a mess. He's gone 2 steps forwards, 3 steps back, in my opinion. He's earned a lot of money, but that's the only positive of that move. Things could happen similarly for Bim. He'd be probably looked at by a mid-championship side as someone who'd probably play maybe 12, 15 games in a season. That will probably stunt all his momentum. I think, depending on what the agent thinks, the agent must be saying, well, look, if you're in the Championship, there's far better chance of you getting in the Canadian squad. My rebuttal with that would be if you're starting every week for Argyle with some good wingers that can provide you with good crosses to give you what you need in terms of scoring goals, getting 15, 20 goals next season, 10, 12 by Christmas will give him far better stock. That's my view on it. I hope and pray that he's here come August at the end of it when the window shuts. But he seemed, what I have to say, and we probably should have asked this of Aaron, he seems a very grounded young man. He seems really humble. He loves the club, clearly. And the only thing you'd say as a fan is, well, we've given him a springboard. You know, he was number 5, number 6, number 7 at Luton. We got him for a couple of $100,000. You know, he had a crap start, and now through the club and Aaron and everyone else, he's now, and obviously a lot of hard work for himself, he's blossomed into this fantastic striker. Hopefully that bears something on his soul and his conscience when he's getting all these wonderful offers from Championship clubs over the close season.
It says a lot to Treble, doesn't it, guys? When, you know, him and Esseni and even Amici were sort of development players, and yet he's done so well in the development of Peppel, you know.
Well, what you missed, Andy, earlier, which you'll find interesting, is when we talked to Aaron about Bim, I asked him the question of when did Bim approach him to start work with him, and he said they'd obviously met each other and had conversations pre-season. He got in touch in October. Obviously, didn't start very well, and it was no coincidence. Although obviously Aaron's very keen to make it out that, you know, yes, he helps and directs and gives them some guidance with breaking down what they can do to improve. It's a teamwork, but the player has to do that, and it's no surprise that Bim then has gone on to score the 16 goals and have the performances he's had. Obviously, with Gavin, I think your point on, if he looks at it in a smart way, unless there's a really strong deal there, with the money and stuff like that, because they've got to look after themselves, I think you're right. A second season with us here, if that's a promotional winning season and he has a heavy involvement in that, that could be the right place for him. Finley, I'm going to come to you on Laurent-Tolai. Gents, I'm not going to come to each of those two that are highly tipped to leave because still stuff to get through. But yeah, on Laurent-Tolai, Finley, what does your gut say? Is he the likely one that will walk out the door?
I think mainly, yeah, because of what I've seen in his career path. He spent one season at every club and used to win something. Aldershot, he National League. Then he went to Port Vale, spent one season there, came to us. I think he would leave to get more opportunity to get back up because he's still young and he's still a very good striker because he comes back, he goes up, he's scored quite a lot this season. But I think if the big offer comes in, I think they'll take it. I think Tolai will go.
Yeah, I think so. He did seem, I don't know, his body language was interesting in that last game with the walk around and stuff. And from what I know from my neighbours, I said on Saturday show, with the the awards due. He was the first to sort of leave as soon as the time came up. A lot of players stayed behind, but yeah, we shall see. And Ian, the rumours now, as Senny, as Stephen Vaughan's saying, is generating some interest. He's obviously also likely to get called up for the Nigeria team as well. I believe I've seen published earlier. What do you think? Is Senny someone that will take someone's interest?
I think Aseni is going to get some interest at the moment, but I think another year for him and get developed under the TC and like Cusack, if he goes that way, like Bim did, and get that experience, I think give him another season or even till the January and then take some money for him then if we need to. He's still a young lad. He still needs to learn his trade and he's certainly shown when Tolai was injured and working well with Peppel and then vice versa with Tolai. So he is versatile and I think teams will look at him, but is he going to get regular football if Tolai moves on? He might well do. So hopefully Peppel and Aseni may be the forward line we see for a while.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Ninja Matt's comment, players have also got to realise that they've had one decent season in League One, Tolai included. Before this season, none of them have done anything better than League Two. So, yeah, but you will take the deal and run if you can get it. Hardy's deal at Wrexham, I mean, just why not? But yeah, he was in the latter stages of his career. I suppose you don't want to be suddenly sitting on the bench elsewhere when you're the age that the likes of Tolai and Pep or even Oseni are. Right, we're coming towards the end. We've got our little awards to do as well. Just bring up this image. It is the EFL League One's Team of the Season, and Laurent-Tolai did make it into that team. So there you can see on screen. I'm rubbish with recognising every crest, but there's a few there. But it is one Argyle's player, and that is Laurent-Tolai. That was published, I think it was earlier on today. Also, I'm just going to play, and then we'll come to the final awards bit. I have got the dressing room interview again, and I do have, and I will play them, but the 2-minute clip from Argyle TV that Gavin and who was it? Tomo and Nick Tomlinson mentioned earlier. That will be a great watch to go and see. But let's just quickly hear from Heather, who couldn't be with us tonight, but gives us a wrap up of the ladies who couldn't quite.
Hi guys, obviously I am so sorry I am not there tonight on the Block 9, but obviously I am down in the last game of the season where Argyle are taking on Exeter in the Challenge Cup. Obviously the girls are out training already, so obviously it's going to be a good one for us. Obviously, Mike has asked me to try and sum up in 2 minutes about how the season has been for the girls. It's going to be hard wrapping up in two minutes because it's been so amazing. Obviously, it's the highest we've finished in the league. We have finished second with 52 points, which is obviously a record for Argyle women. We played the FA Cup and got to the 4th round. We got into the National League Cup where we went to the finals at QPR against Bournemouth. We also got in that playoff final against Wolves. So obviously, our league run has been phenomenal, not to mention obviously our cup runs. And yeah, obviously we want to try and get at least a trophy tonight. Obviously we've missed out 3 times already this season. And yeah, obviously the girls are up for it. I believe a lot of these are strong, looking to come back next season. So yeah, obviously the girls are out doing their final preps. And I'll keep you updated on.
Oh, there we go. As it always does at the end, cuts off. Gavin, just touch on that season. A quick synopsis on that. It was a shame, frustrating goal as well to concede from trying to play out the back. But what a massive achievement by Marie Hurahan and the rest of the team. And hopefully they can go on, like Argyle, to actually secure a proper promotion next season.
That's half the battle. Now they've got to keep the nucleus of this side together. Tiana Tizer will go back to Bristol. She's on loan, assuming they want to keep her. The rest, I believe, are signed with the club. I think they only had one loan player, maybe a goalkeeper, but I think that was a second-team goalkeeper anyway. They've played brilliant football this year. They've been really intense. Marie's clearly a very gifted coach. And I suppose the interesting journey, which she noted in her post-match interview, is there was like 150, 200 people watching the club 12 months ago. There's now 1,000 to 1,500 most games, with 6,500 for the Exeter game, which is just bonkers for a women's game. So the fan base is growing. The club's very capable. I think the commercial team have done a really good job at Argyle this year to get them some more money next year. And let's hope they, as I say, retain a lot of the players. And I think if they do, they know exactly what they need to be doing this year, and they'll finish top of the tree.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Thank you for that. Like I said, we'll have more from Heather with her own even segment or show, I should say. She's got a segment with us this season on every Thursday. But yeah, as I want her tasked her, we've had chats to grow that women's game side, not just with Argyle, but with the other clubs and the other audiences that are trying to do the same, so we can bring more for those that want to see that. Right, so me lovers, let me see. Right, I'm going to do the awards bit now. If you're still awake and still with us, we massively appreciate it. This is, well, besides a watch along, which tips about 3 hours, this is the longest one so far, 2 hours, 30 minutes. But yes, it is time. Oh, as I try and click on it. I haven't got the fancy videos this year. I just didn't have time. And they were special for Pleggy last season. So we have got our Block 9. Block 9 awards evening to you, Pleggy and Georgia and the family. Growing family they have as well. Player of the season. Well, it is no surprise, drum roll, that it is, of course, Malachi Boateng. And I love these graphics. And so, yes, player of the season.
I can't see them. Can anyone else?
Sorry?
Can anyone else see them? Because I can't see them.
I can see that now, but I couldn't see them. No. That's why I was confused just now.
It's a blank screen, Mike.
Have a video, but it's on there. So you've seen it, Ian Finley?
Yeah, it's on there. Yeah, that's it.
It's just me then. That's fine. Move on. So it's only me.
That's right. All right. For those that are watching, we got the graphics on screen. Those that are listening, post. Player of the season, Malachi Boateng, 46 starts. He played every single game. Incredible. 5 goals, 8 assists. What's that? Key passes per game, 2.1. Dribbles per game, 3. Minutes played, 4,105. Incredible. Obviously, he won the players vote as well. He was just phenomenal. I know throughout the season, when we had our lows, people were critical at times. He was one of those that did so much in the background. I always used to refer to that you don't realise. But to have, as a manager, to have someone that is fit all the time, that you just go, yep, he's going to be there every game, is something that Argyle were not blessed with this season at all. I'll go to two of you. Andy, your thoughts on Boateng?
Absolutely fantastic. One of the most consistent players we've had for a long, long time at the club. Gives his all in every game. Or makes mistakes. We all make mistakes, but he's a great player. So glad we got him from Hearts that time.
Yeah, and Gavin on Boateng.
Interesting to see earlier that he was signed by Miron, and Miron didn't like him having
signed him
straight away. a really good box to box, full of energy. Scored some really vital goals for us this year as well, which I think a lot of people have not really shouted about enough, which is interesting. But yeah, he's a class act, and I'm sure he's probably the first name on the team sheet come next season, if he's fit, touch wood, because he's just been outstanding this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was also the PAFC player of the season as well, Mike, from Cornish supporters. So
not surprised by that, mate.
It says a lot. Yeah, it says a lot. And the next one up is, we obviously noted it earlier because we did a lot of talking about Bin Pepper with Aaron. So, if you want to go back and listen to any particular clips, I would absolutely listen to that. Obviously, we have Aaron talking with Chris and ourselves throughout the start of the show, but when we go to Aaron specifically on Bin Pepper and other sides, there are some great insights there. So yes, our Block 9 Most Improved Player of the Season award then does go to Aaron Bim. I could never even remember. If he ever comes on, I've got to nail that name, and I will spend hours trying to do it. But yes, Bin Pepple, we won't go into too much because we've discussed a lot about him tonight. But what a turnaround. And yes, I agree with Gavin that it might just be the best thing for him to stick it out another season and raise his profile even more. And if Talai does go, then although he was regular recently, of course, it would give him that chance to really shine. So 35 games, 16 goals and 2 assists. And a lot of that came in that second half of the season. And thank God it did, because him, like a few others, were important in Argyle turning their season around. The next one is a special mention that I wanted to pit out for the show. And I sort of thought long and hard about this one. Well, I didn't actually, because there was one player that just stood out. But when I chose him, I was like, oh, people are going to go, well, it should have been him. It should have been him. And I get that. Maybe not. You might agree with me. But the Crazy Pilgrims special mention goes to this guy and Ronan Curtis, because for me, he just came in and just transformed the way we were playing down the channels. I loved commentating or talking or post-analysing the link-up plays that, he had with Edwards, with Boateng, even with Ross or the defenders, and linking up and getting forward down that right-hand side. The banter between him and Mitchell,
didn't forget that celebration at Reading.
Yeah, yeah, exactly that. Just brilliant. And I think he for me, 21 games, 2 goals, 4 assists, the second most, as Finley alluded to earlier in the week, which he did react on his post to. And then he had a little man-loving moment with him on chat afterwards. Second most chances created in League One for the season just gone. But for me, he just came from nowhere, at Port Vale. Again, as Aaron alluded to, not playing previous in clubs in the right position. We got him it was bargain basement money when you look at the stuff. I mean that respectfully to him. But just absolutely brilliant. And Finley might have tried to ask him if he would come on the show. But I tell you what, I would love to have him and Mitchell, whether Mitchell does come back or not on, because that would be a laugh. Finley, I'll come to you because you had that social engagement with him this week. But yeah, do you agree with my special mention, or don't be afraid if you have someone else?
No, I completely agree with you on Ronan Curtis. Because he has created the most second most created chances, I think, with 86, which is absolutely unbelievable. And a majority of that came from when he joined us. But yeah, how he started at Argyle, he immediately got into the rhythm and he was able to transform us in the second half of the season. And to get his numbers up is incredible, considering that he was barely being played at Port Vale.
Yeah, It's and Finley, what you have to do at the end of the show, note this down, 2 hours 36 or whenever I started talking about him. You need to go in YouTube. You can timestamp the copy to share, and then you need to go into the chat and say, "Oh, Ronan, by the way, you got the," and he can by all means have a mug as well or a hoodie, as
and like and subscribe.
Yeah, someone said about Pepper. Why don't you give him a hoodie? But yeah, look, if we can get him on, then of course we will do anything we can to get any player on. Anybody else want to say anything in particular? Gavin, on Curtis?
That first game I was there, Bristol Rovers. It was like, oh shit, this guy can really cross the ball. A lot of the goals were scored right in front of us, which was even better. He's, I think, good player, but more importantly, good character. And in a long season, when you're away on the bus for as long as you are, having him and the other joker in the pack, Mitchell, lifting spirits when you're in a bus for 5 hours must be really, really pleasing. So I think he loves it here. We love him. Say no more. But he's had a really good start.
Yeah,
I think TC said in his interview this week that him and Mitchell have been the best on the bus, but they're a bit loud at some point. So not all the players appreciate it after a long day.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like my work colleagues that have to pit up with me being loud all day. And do I care? No, sorry. No. So there you go. My special mention to Ronan Curtis. That's the player awards, as you want to call it. That also, by the way, actually there is this because I went to click on it earlier, but clicked on the wrong one. Finley, back to you. Your news post, obviously, that you shared with what Ronan Curtis put on Instagram. Do you want to just read his statement?
Yeah. He said, "Thank you, Argyle fans, for the best 5 months in football I've had for a long time. Absolutely gutted that both games went against us in the final moments. I'm already looking forward to next season with this great group of lads."
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, there we go.
Mike? He might just swing Talai staying. If him and Talai had that relationship at Port Vale,
no chance.
They had a really good relationship, and he's coming in.
No chance.
Yeah. Hang on. Go on. Finish, Andy.
No, I was just saying if he might be the sort of catalyst to keep Talai here if he's here next season.
More like getting Mitchell in.
Yeah, as I say, if we can have him be a catalyst for anyone, well, yeah, I wouldn't disagree with Talai, of course, but Mitchell would be fantastic. The post-match interviews and everything is so entertaining for that. But so I will go through. Like my legs are dying on me because I've been standing up throughout the whole show, and I'm conscious of some of us do want to get off to bed. But if I can run through, Gavin, was there anybody else in particular you wanted to make a note about?
One mentioned it there. I think Matthias Ross needs a mention.
Yes, great.
As an also ran in the Player of the Season. I thought his last 6 months in particular was outstanding. Again, next to Mitch. For Mitch to get the award he did as a lone player is unheard of, mental. I thought he really developed himself. He was a bit lightweight to start with, but he could clearly play football as a centre half. But I think he obviously spent a bit of time in the gym and looked to get his head in where it hurt. And since then, he's never looked back. And he's probably now one of the best centre halves in the division, I would say. Having watched the games I have this year, I would say he's probably stand out as the most all-round. One of the most all-round centre-backs in the division.
Yeah, excellent. Ian, anyone else for you?
I would say from our youth academy, Seb Campbell this season coming through and scoring against Tottenham and seeing that moment between him and Joe Edwards when they celebrated. That was brilliant. And also, I would say in the senior team, Matthias Ross again, outstanding. This second half of the season has been brilliant. Took a little while to get in there, but I think he's getting used to English football now. So Matthias Ross.
Yeah, cool. Finley, anyone for you?
This may but some may agree and some people disagree. I think Owen Dale needs a bit of a shout because he comes up to attack and he comes to defend. He's an all-round consistent player and he's had pretty good matches within the last probably couple months of the season. I think he deserves to get some shout for what he's done this season. I think I would be happy if he signs permanently for us in the summer.
Yeah, no, good. And Andy, anyone else for you?
Yeah, Brendan
Luke
Werrity.
Ashby Hammond?
No, Brendan Werrity for me, because Brendan had a really difficult start to the season, a couple of own goals and defensive errors and stuff, but he really sort of excelled when he was put in his own position in midfield. So I think, Werrity for me is the one who deserves a lot of credit, just for getting alongside Boateng, giving Boateng that freedom to go forward and move forward, and to pick a path, and to get in crunching tackles. So, yeah, he's my player.
Yeah, fair enough then. There we go. Let me just check. Right, so what have we got? Oh, so our award. So we also put in the vote for the Block 9 podcast moment of the season. Now, I'm quite disappointed with you all in our WhatsApp group, because you voted Carl's celebration because it was so recent. But those 6 goal celebrations dressed as a bloody Buddy Elf at Christmas time surely should have won it. Although Gavin's laugh was equally just so good. But yes, the award for the Block 9 moment of the season has gone to Carl, who can't join us tonight, but it was for this over-exuberant reaction as we took a
It's all in your hands as it stands. As Xavier meets you off to
sounds a bit crap because I didn't record it properly. Sorry.
Blank screen.
Outside the box, looking to get it on his
yeah,
left.
done with that.
He lays it off to Holding.
Oh, take the lead!
It's
Get in there!
It's Wiradoo, sorry.
Come on!
Excuse me, with the
Yes!
goal. Brilliant.
Yes, lads!
Fantastic.
Come on! There we go. Sorry for those of you that are getting blank screens. Is what it is. But yeah, if you want to see that celebration and you're listening on the podcast channel's posts, you're going to have to go to YouTube and find it on 2 minutes and 40 odd seconds into the show. So yeah, there we go. So well done, Carl, for that one. And then it was a class moment. And those that were joining us live at the time, we did do a whole thing at the end. I had Carl's iPad as well with Stevenage game. I picked the Luton game on my iPad. Obviously, the Argyle game in front of us. And then suddenly when that goal went in at Stevenage, it was like, damn it, they're so close. But we will build better and stronger. So let's go to the 2 clips of Tom Cleverley. So let's first do his dressing room talk. If you haven't seen that at the at the end of the game, I shall run that now. 2.5 minutes on that one. So here we go. Limbs, Charlie.
The objective today is to do our job. So I can go home, I can sleep tonight knowing that we did our job. In this running, we did our jobs to our best of our ability. And today sums us up. All right, 2-0 down, not having a great time, sums our season up. We started, we showed resilience, we showed character, but those 3 things that I talk about to get out of tough times: togetherness, hard work, and everyone buying into a direction. And I say what I said on the training ground the other day. I thank every single one of you, players and staff, for giving that everything since November. Togetherness, hard work, and following a direction. Even if it doesn't benefit you individually, everyone can say that we were all pulling the same direction. And it's brought us a hell of a lot of success. Yeah, and I don't like using other clubs as sort of examples, but Lincoln didn't, when Stuart, they didn't go up in year 1, they didn't go up in year 2. They went up in year 3 with 103 points, depending on what they did today. We go up in year 2. Alright, we don't have to have the massive 16, 17 players in and out. We've set serious foundations, serious ones, solid ones in this room. Alright, so that our timing didn't arrive today, our timing will be this time next year. But today, tomorrow, the rest of the week hurt, of course, because this ain't how we visualised today going. But in the weeks where you're resting, you're going on holiday, you're recovering, I think you'll all have a belief, if you're here next year, that we've built something to follow and to have success with and to be excited about and to have hope about. But I want to thank every single one here. I'm gutted. One of the reasons I'm gutted, 3 weeks less I get to work with. Thoroughly enjoy it. I enjoy seeing the team work hard for each other, the quality. I really enjoy it, selfishly. So yeah, we wanted to this, that, the other, but I'm gutted 3 weeks less working together because It's been phenomenal the last 5-6 months. And you thoroughly deserve every single player to have their songs sung in front of that. Because you've deserved it. You've worked for it. And you're good players. We had one objective.
And let's end with the last one with Charlie Price digesting the end. Go and check this out. And I don't know if it's free on YouTube or to watch on Argyle TV, but if you can, go and check it out. But here's the clip that they put out earlier this week, and this will be the last video for tonight.
Sort of were in the kind of last couple of games in the season where it was, you knew we needed to win the games. Port Vale here, the Northampton game, which we've got the end of here, which I want to get your thoughts on in a minute. But all of what we've just seen in the last 5-10 minutes led us to be in a position on the final day where we could have got into the playoffs, which, if you think back to November, was was totally unthinkable, really.
Yeah, I think we sat down with the staff. 2 big goals of ours in the winter were, can we climb the table to mid-table, and can we get to Wembley in the Virtue? I thought Wembley was realistic. I'm not sure if I thought mid-table was realistic, but the rise to get to this point where we were in the top 6 with 5 minutes to go of the season.
Look at his
pretty
face.
Remarkable. The togetherness, the hard work of the players, and believing in a direction is really important for me. If we were all pulling the same direction, and like I said in the talk afterwards, even people that this way maybe didn't benefit as much, that this they bought in. They saw that this was the most effective way for the collective to be successful, and I was hugely proud of that. I can be not content because we didn't achieve what I wanted us to achieve, but I can certainly watch these without feeling any hard done by feelings. We did our job. Stevenage have been in the top 6 for most of the season. We ultimately fell a little bit short. I'm hugely optimistic about next season, and had I been watching Saturday afternoon unfold on the telly, I think I'd have had a lot of more things to say about maybe the goal Stevenage were given, the penalty that Luton scored. But you're so focused on the team doing their job that I didn't feel too much hurt and pain after the full-time whistle. I felt a sense of excitement and optimism.
There we go. That's the end of that. And Gavin will account, and if anybody else on the panel has watched it, the whole episode. I've still got to get to it, and I will do. But it's excellent, Gavin. Is that right?
Superb. Yeah, probably the best thing on Argyle TV, non-tactical wise, I've seen. I wish they'd done that with Shuey after the 101 season. That'd have been really, really good. But they didn't. There's no point in doing it the last 2 years because we've been waiting around for a coach. But it would have been really good to see Shuey do that as well. So hopefully we get to sit down and do that again next season with TC, having taken us up. That'd be lovely.
Yeah. So look, folks, 2 hours and 51 minutes. Wow. That's why I moved it to a Friday night. I had a long supply meeting today. It was an all-dayer, so I would have been dead on my backside if I'd have done this last night. But thank you to everybody, again, who's joined us tonight, but has supported the show, as my son wants to make a weird appearance, who supported the show over the past 2 years, whether you knew or been with us for a while now. It's been just, it's incredible. It's very humbling. Yes, the effort that goes into it, it's for the love of what we all like, the game, and we just want to bring you our show for it. It's a shame that Carl couldn't join us tonight as well. He's working hard, looking after people in Derriford. But yeah, to everybody, it is really, really appreciated. Gavin, any final words as well from yourself?
See you all next season.
You're doing it me now, next season. Ian, some final thoughts on your first show, and I'm sure we'll have you on in the future.
Thank you very much to you, Mike and Gavin and Finley and all the Block 9 crew for having me on, and all the viewers. And also a big thank you to the Devonport End for making it a special one for us as a fan assembly rep, and also come along and join the channel. That's what I'd say is absolutely brilliant. And the more you can do, and hopefully get more players on in the future as well.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll have to head down to Cornwall and do a Cornish Supporters Association little forum live on a live stream. Finley, it's been great having you on board this season. Those antlers sticking out your head have been a joy for everybody who's been watching. And also, of course, when I come to you for a piece and you just go, yes, as I'm about to have a drink. Is that all you got to say? But yeah, it's been great to have you on, mate. Final thoughts from you?
It's been very good for you to have me on, and thank you for reaching out to me and helping me come on the show and helping promote my content, because I think you coming to me, I think, has really contributed to the growth over the last season. I think I really thank you for that, and thank you for having me on this season. I hope
keep it up.
It'll be much better next season.
Yeah, I think all we can do is just give you a bit of a shout out. It's what you do with your content is what's helped your channel grow. We've just been a small part of that. So, and Andy, from yourself, final words for you?
It's just been a brilliant season. We've been here now 2 years now, Mike, and it's been a real pleasure to work alongside you and, of course, Gav and the rest of the guys as well. We missed Carl tonight, sadly. But, yeah, it's wonderful to be a part of the Block 9, and even if I do flip-flop. Yeah, thanks, guys. It's been a great season.
Yeah, no, and yeah, it's a pleasure. Now, look, we didn't quite make it as Argyle in the playoffs, but look, there is bigger and better things to come for Argyle in the new season, and there is bigger and better things to come from what we're going to present you. But always remember, this happened also this season. On a positive note, Exeter were relegated.
Where's the
award? Hopefully that video did show up at the end there. But there we go. There's always something that brings a smile to your face in adversity. But Gavin's shaking his head. Bri GB says the Mayflower adventures to be continued. There we go. Absolutely. But thank you. I know I haven't been able to read out any comments really tonight, but appreciate them coming through as always. For those of you that have been with us from the start right to the end, you're mad if you go back and listen to the whole thing again if you missed it. But yeah, we appreciate it if you did. So from all of us, from the Block 9, I wish you all a good break. We will be back probably sooner than you think, but it will tie in, I think, with pre-season because I absolutely also need a break. But yeah, pleasure as always. Onwards and upwards. Take care, and we'll see you soon.